Hey, welcome to Movies Worth Talking About, where we talk and talk and talk about movies. I am John Carlos, and I am joined by
Ta-da!
that's Edda.
Ah.
This is part two of the discussion of Scream 6. And where we last left off, Eddie said something to the effect of,
Oh boy.
"You have a problem with this movie, and its name is."
Gale Weathers.
Broke my heart to hear that.
Well, this is the thing.
She's my
I'm not
girl.
I'm not blaming Gale for it. Um this is the thing.
Here, what's the thing, Eddie?
It's it's going to take a minute because we have to break apart. We have to examine this.
Yeah, I'm
The
all ears.
pieces. Okay. First off, okay, her introduction into the movie, she comes back, she's wielding the mic, she's in true Gale Weathers form and everything like that. And seemingly, I understand what they're trying to do in the writing of it and everything like that. But the problem is one thing that has usually also been there with Scream is plausibility to a certain extent. I mean, there is
Oh,
meta, but there is also, I don't know, some things that I don't have to kind of like go, and just, just to keep the movie going.
which is
And I do
precisely
that.
what I did. Yeah.
Exactly. I do that in that moment where I'm just kind of like, oh, oh, wait, but she wrote a book. Then why is she pushing a mic in their face? Oh, and here she's dodging one punch, but not dodging the other one and everything. And the reason why, then when I found out the reason why, I was really, really pissed off. And then I was like, well, why are you pushing a mic in their face? Like, you didn't expect that this would happen. If it's as right, what's the word I'm looking for? If it's as predictable as the sunrise that Gale Weathers is going to write a book when there are Ghostface killers, then it should also be as predictable as sunset that the people who she writes about, who have survived and have written about in an unfavorable way, are going to be angry, and they're going to hold her feet to the fire, as it were. It's usually a reporter term for like questioning people, hard-boiled reporter, but they're going to hold her fucking feet like, you were my friend. Dewey did it, Sydney did it. Like, so the fact that like she's just kind of like, hello, Gale Weathers, how do you feel? And they're just like, and she's like, whoa, and I'm just like, okay, so that's upsetting to me. I get what we're doing. We're doing the thing that we did before. I've seen it before. So, and then, okay, it really bothered me because it's the first thing I thought when Sam is just like, what would Dewey say? She's just like, that was a low blow. I'm like, what? And she's like, you know what? Writing about me in that book was a low blow. And I'm like, exactly. Hand clap emoji. Sam Carpenter, my hero. And and I was just like, is Gale stupid? Like, I mean, because that takes an immense amount of ignorance to say that. And there were a lot of people on the internet who were pushing back, even in their own stories, because people are arguing, like
It was
posting in their shit. Yeah,
so divided.
it totally was. And
Yeah.
I saw the argument in favor of the decision to have her kind of like kick off in this movie in that direction, saying, well, it's typical Gale. Of course she's always going to write the book. Of course she's going to see it, rationalize and see it that way, and do the thing anyway. And I see where they're coming from when they say that my argument against that is that's Gale Weathers movie 1 and the first half of movie 2 or so. Has she not grown or evolved at all as a character in decades? Like, and the thing that really bothered me, I watched Five Cream after the two initial screenings I did for Screevy in the theater. And I knew I was going to feel this way in the end of Five Cream when Gale and Sydney are sitting there with their cup of noodles, just kind of, and they got their navy blankets on and everything like that. And they're just shooting the shit, feeling the breeze in their hair, looking gorgeous. And Gale says, well, I'm not going to write, not, I'm going to write a book and like, but not about this. As far as I'm concerned, these two can like these, what did she say? These fuckers can die in anonymity.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I'm going to write a book about a good man, you know, and everything like that. And I know she's going to write about Dewey and everything like that. And Sydney's like, I would read that book or whatever the fuck she says. And I'm like, and it's a really moving moment. Like I welled up in that moment in the theater. And every time since, now when I see that moment, I'm just like, Gail. And then you think they're not going to bring up Dewey. Like, oh, that's a low blow. Like that, okay, that crossed the line. Fuck you, Miss Ruthless in One Direction. Fuck you. It made me so angry with her.
I mean, what you're saying, I agree with you, but no, but I also feel like that's when you're like, is she stupid? I'm like, or is she like been doing this job so long that no matter what new personal relationship she builds, she also gets a little entitled and gets up on a little high horse. And you're right, like the response should be fuck you, that she thinks that is somehow off limits, that bringing up Dewey is this low blow, and that what? Yeah. I'm just doing my job. What? Like I understand how that sucks for the character, but also you're from a meta writing standpoint, but for how you feel, at least you're having the right responses. I don't think the movie is like, you should feel that way. But I don't necessarily agree that was the direction to take the character. However, I was able, like the second she showed up in like the power suit, was like with the microphone hand. I'm like, oh, you're so the growth that growth didn't stick. That was all nice stuff that you said that night in the moment. And you've got Sydney next to you, and you went to this, and your heart's racing, and oh, you're so in it. And then like a day later, a week later, you diffuse, and maybe you're not staying in that and carrying that with you forever. You're going back to New York, and you go back to your job, and it's something that happened in Woodsboro, and you're not keeping that in you. And when the paycheck comes for another book, I went, oh, we're doing this. And then I just thought, yeah, I mean, I guess it's not completely implausible, it's just disappointing.
I was more, and this is saying something. I've really come to appreciate more and more about Script Forum as the years go by.
Same.
I am so much more compelled with the way they introduce her with her fucking writer's block in Script Forum and watching Sydney on the news promoting her book and everything like that. I'm just kind of like, ooh, load the cannon. Like, what does this do? Oh, I know what this is doing to Gail. This is going to be frustrating as hell. So, of course, this is motive for her to be fucking Gail Weathers again once the ghost face is on the scene and everything like that. I'm like, yeah.
Scream 4 is one of my favorite Gales.
Yeah,
not the top, but it's up there.
No, it's not the top. No, it's not the top at all.
But especially since they're not like the line in the sand of like, well, now your husband's on the force, and you're not the press, you're not with a show, so like, sorry, but you're out. Like, what do you mean? I'm fucking out, and she's got something to prove. Like, it's great.
Okay, then I'm going rogue. Yeah. But she took that term back from what's her name? First time I saw Sarah Palin's book, I thought it said Goring Rouge at first. I was like, what?
God.
Is it a makeover book? Oh, it's Going Rogue. I'm the idiot. Okay, I'll own that. But okay,
but I will say this. Okay,
yes, please do.
It's just something that just popped in my head. I don't think it's intentional. And again, I think Scream 5 is the one that's like got all these Star Wars parallels. Less so this one. However, I was talking in the last episode about franchise references. Fast and Furious, Aliens, Jurassic. I don't know if this isn't necessarily a reference, but you mentioned that Gail just kind of went back to who she was. And one of the slightly more, I don't want to say off-putting things, but lazy things about The Force Awakens was the fact that like, oh, you haven't seen these characters in 30 years, and Han's a smuggler again. And Leia's over here doing politics again. Like, I know you last saw them and they were in love, but you know what? They're back to exactly where they were 30 years ago. Oh, boy, like, here it is, movie. Here's the comfort. Here's the thing, I'm like, no, that's not what I wanted.
Right.
I wanted some growth. I didn't.
Exactly. Exactly.
And it's like, oh, our marriage fell apart. You went back to doing what you were good at. I'm like, really? The marriage fell apart? So he and Chewie went back to being I don't buy it. Still
Me
buy it.
neither. Me neither. But
But I wonder if I'm just saying it's funny that like Gale pulls a Force Awakens in this, and that could be counted as another franchise reference if you wanted to reach.
I mean, it's a reach, but that doesn't make it any less true.
It's a thing franchises do.
It is. It is. Oh, absolutely. I mean, and again, like I already mentioned, like, oh, she's doing the thing that we've seen her do before. Great. So many. That's the probably. I wonder if that's the thing about the pitfall of prequels that irks me the most. It's up there. I don't know if it's the most irksome, but it's up there for me. Just the like, remember that thing you love? Here it is again. Like, no. And sometimes it works, but not always. Like I'd say 2 out of 10 times it hits, and I'm like, it's the thing I like, you know?
Yeah.
Laughing like an idiot.
It's very difficult to nail that.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times it's, hey, look, Jack Sparrow saying that thing he said in the first movie. Remember that line?
God.
Remember when he said that?
Don't even.
Man, he said it
franchise.
again.
Wrong franchise for me. But anyway, okay. Yes.
Two little things. First, before we even see Gale, we see her call. And before we've seen what their relationship is, the fact that the phone rings and it says Gale Weathers, like, oh, you have her number. That's right. You live in the city. I'm like, are you guys friends? What is this? You have her number in case of emergencies? I don't know. But the fact that some moment where numbers were exchanged. So I was initially just thrown off because she's so professional and they're so mad at her. And I'm like, I don't want to say I read too much into it, but I thought when you had her number in your phone, I don't know. My brain just thought maybe you guys were buds.
No, because wait, it's Sam's phone, right?
Yeah, but Sam goes like, "Don't answer that." But they think it could be the killer, you know.
Oh, but also Sam has Richie in her phone still too. Sam's just that bitch who doesn't like delete people from her phone.
Right. I don't think Sam over the course of Five Cream ever got Gale's number. That was something to me that happened that night or later when she moved to the city. Anyway, I'm just saying I was so thrown off by Gale's entrance because I presume they were more buddy just because she had her number. And then the fact that it's one of those things that this is movie bullshit, but the fact that like a scene later, I'm sorry I punched you in the face. No, you're not. No, I'm not. And they both smile, and then they're all just buds the rest of the movie. It's fine. It's fine, Eddie. I kind of wish they didn't have that scene and just let them be the buds. Or really, I don't know. It was just I really that scene is kind of a not quite a record scratch, but it doesn't quite fit.
No, that was my next thing.
They're both just all so forgiving. Let's solve a mystery together.
I know. It's like, wow, that healed fast. Like this is, you know what, actually, I was thinking about it while I was screening it last week, and I was thinking one thing that I think would have helped me and endeared me more is, okay, have Gale do the fuck up thing and everything. Don't mend the fences like right away and make it easy as like, sorry, I punched you. Because if somebody wrote a fucking book about fuck me, my sister wrote a book about my sister and her personal life and everything like that, and called her like, what did she call her, like a killer or something? What's the quote?
Unstable and a born killer.
A boring killer?
Born.
I think you said boring. Unstable and a born killer. Yeah. If somebody wrote that shit about my sister as she's already like taking like her antipsychotics and has saved both of our lives by going crazy with the stabbing on her boyfriend who manipulated both of us and everything like that, and she's basically a superhero with like a dark side, but superhero for me. She definitely has superpowers. Whatever our problems are, the bitch who wrote the book about her and in our eyes is the reason like all of Twitter is like going against her and everything like that. Like, even if it didn't cause it, because we find out later that like it was not an inside job, but it was Quinn doing the Twitter thing, and it's so easy to bring up. Even Gale's book couldn't have helped, because people, if they're getting information from multiple sources that all seems to be pointing in a particular direction, they're going to be more likely to fucking buy that shit. Now, so anyway, so if that happens and then we're confronted by that woman, my sister takes a swing at her and misses, and then I land a swing at her and she goes down. Not that I believe in hitting women, but hypothetically, I'm Jenna Ortega and I hit her and she goes down. The next time we see her, if I do apologize for mangling her face and she says, no, you're not. And I just be like, no, I'm not.
Mm. Mm.
We're not going to be all buddy-buddy. What would have been interesting is if they
carry the tension.
Yeah, if they would have been like, do whatever you want. We're not going to get in your way, but just leave us alone, okay? We're done. And they just kind of like go off and like work on their own. And Gail, in an effort to try and prove something and try to, you know, even maybe prove something to herself and to Dewey posthumously and everything, like to try and make it right. If she went ahead and tried to right this wrong anyway, and they just kind of kept like brushing up against each other at like the kill scenes and everything.
She brings them to the shrine, and they still like, we're here, we're getting the info, but this doesn't fucking get you off our back or off the hook.
But if it was like, I have to show you something, and then they're like, and then she has to like communicate, which Courtney Cox can totally do, you know, with an intensity like this, the relevance of what it is she has to show you without just disclosing it because it's too important. And they're just
and they still go.
Exactly. And then the next thing we see is just like a, you know, like a,
no, I'm just saying that
and
you keep that animosity still there.
Absolutely.
She sells them
earns their trust back.
They still say sorry, no press. She still has her scene in her apartment with Ghostface. And then when they arrive, you can maybe have a little like, I don't want to say they instantly forgive her, but like they feel like, fuck, if I'd known this is the last time I maybe was going to see you. And then,
because also that would be
your third act emotional resolution.
And that's more interesting to me too, that if like, they know that Gail is now the target once they realize that Ghostface isn't going after them out in the open in the daytime, a la Scream 2, but that they're going after Gail instead. The fact that they're going out to warn her and everything like that, in spite of everything that's happened, makes them more interesting, makes them better people, because it's not about personal vendettas or you screwed me over, so fuck you, or anything like that. It's about, there's another life that's about to be lost, and that's not going to happen on my watch if I can possibly stop it, Sam and Tara, going forward. That would have been so much more badass than, well, we're all right. Like, I mean, you know what, I realize that I'm arguing against this, and yet I'm still like, I can still argue the merits of, you're letting him kill Martha.
Trying to waft away the smell.
It's BVS, folks, in case you don't know.
Get that stink out of here.
I can still watch it. I don't think it's perfect, but I can still watch it.
No. I've we won't get into it. It's just,
we won't get into it.
It's not for me. It's for you. Great. It's not for me.
It's a whole conversation. Yeah.
No, but I'm never going to attempt to try to explain to you why it should be for you. It's great. Have at it.
Of course. So okay, wait. So you go now.
Well, no, I just, the thing between you and me is that, at least what I'm gathering is that you really bumped into it, whereas it was kind of like a little table bump for me, and I go, oh, and then fuck it, whatever, and I just kept going with it. Like, it doesn't, I don't know, I don't want to say it was so easily swayed, but like there was a lot of people in the online community that are like, but her going back and writing the book after all, that's such a Gail thing to do. And I go, I could see that. I mean, I'd like to chart her growth at the end of 5 as mattering, but
yeah,
I don't know. I won't say it doesn't work, but it's definitely not what I would have preferred to see. It definitely doesn't ruin her for me.
No, it doesn't ruin her for me, but it doesn't feel like Gail.
Sure, yeah. I mean, if anything, I am satisfied though that they didn't make a fucking Stab 9 out of it. She's like, oh yeah, well, streaming shows are all the rage now. No one wants to make a Stab 9, essentially. And I go, good. You've had enough, you know.
I'm glad that they're kind of like slowly releasing the whole Stab thing. Like we don't. Even the fact that like the museum, the whole I'm losing the word, shrine. Thank you. The shrine is all homage to the real life and not to the Stab movies. That was like a little boon to my heart.
Yeah.
But okay, wait, more Gail, because I have more.
Yeah.
Okay. So wait, the thing
I
with
have
the
far
thing,
less than you, so yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
no, yeah. And by all means, feel free to rebut. Okay. Okay. So Gail, I'm fine with like her showing them the shrine and everything like that. I even like the fact that there's an excuse for her to kind of like I felt like it was a small nod to Jennifer Jolie when she pulls out a card, and I just thought Gail Weathers would find a way. Shing, and then doors open, and there they are. When Kirby couldn't find a way and didn't even know about the place and everything, I'm like, oh, okay, Gail Weathers found a way.
Yeah,
Pretty
and
cool.
I will say the little banter between her and Kirby, like I thought was like perfect. Like that's to me, that's classic.
You're a kid.
Yeah, but also like it's called, fucking like was it investigative work or detective work? You're in the FBI, right? Like how did I
Yeah,
the fact she's rubbing it in her face that I found
totally,
didn't. I'm like,
totally.
this for like 30 seconds. This feels
Yeah,
like perfect Gale banter.
that feels very Gale to me. Okay, this is the thing. What doesn't feel like Gale to me is you brought up like the absence of armed guards and everything like that for Sam and for Tara. Gail is sitting in her apartment with her boyfriend and a gun, one gun, all the way in her bedroom with a code that she cannot type under duress. And I remember sitting there the first time, and it happens to me every single time I watch the movie now. But particularly the first time, I remember thinking this should feel so much bigger than it does. Like he even mentions Ghostface on the phone even mentions that this is the first phone call that they've had together, and instead of me going, oh, I was like, oh yeah, like I don't know,
Oh yeah.
everything about the way it was set up. I was just kind of like, why is Gail relaxing? Like there are killers out there, there are people dying. Why is she kicking back in her yoga pants, like on her laptop with her boyfriend, acting like she's got time off or something like that? Like, I mean, wouldn't even if she was home, I don't know, I'd want to see her more prepared. Like, okay, I loved the way this particular team handled Sydney in the last movie when Dewey asks her, do you have a gun? And she says, I'm Sydney fucking Prescott. Of course I have a gun. Hurrah, hurrah, hurrah. I'm watching, and Gail has a gun, but she has no access to it. But also, like, Gail, don't you have anything else? I don't know. I felt like she was way too easy to get to. I felt like even though she had some good barbs in there and everything like that on the phone, I love that she hung up on Ghostface just to call him. She was like, hold on, I'm gonna, or hold on for a sec. Wait, beep, like that was hilarious. That was great.
Killed.
But then even the sequence when it was happening, I was just kind of I can't stop thinking it every time I see the movie, and I wonder if I'll ever lose it. But I always think, oh no, don't kill Gail. But if you don't, what is this scene even? Like this isn't important enough. This doesn't feel important enough for it to be the way Gail goes down. And when it looked like we might go there, I was kind of hoping it wasn't. Not because like, oh, I hope Gail doesn't die, which I could, but instead I'm more like, oh, I hope this isn't the way Gail goes. But then like when I find out that she survives, I'm just kind of like, well, what was the point? What was she even doing here? That she wasn't helping. She was a sitting duck. She had a few things in her arsenal that like most people living in New York, I could argue with money, would have, but she's Gail fucking Weathers. Give her more walls up or more lines of defense. I want surprises. I want fireworks. I want excitement. And I don't get it from her fucking attack sequence. I can't even call it a kill because she doesn't get killed. No, when she's getting stabbed and shit like that, I'm like, oh no. But I mean, I am not caught up the way I should be. Every other time, let's put it that way, that Gail is on screen, I'm just kind of like, you deserve better than this.
Okay, at least that's. I mean, I don't agree with you at all, but
Oh,
but
really?
at least your reason why is still coming from a place of you deserve better and not just like, oh, this is undercooked. This sucks. It's at least you want more. and
I
not
want more and different
yeah.
from her
Well,
and for her.
well,
Yeah.
I don't want to say like I disagree with you so much. It's just like I didn't like the second you said you thought it should have been bigger. I'm like, no, I didn't. This is fine.
Hmm.
And I had the same reaction that you did, but my intention was different when he's like, you and I've never been on the phone together before. And I was like, oh yeah, you haven't been. And that's just an honest reaction. And it wasn't in contrast to like, I don't think I should have been going, oh my God, they haven't. I'm like, no, it's fine. Like Ghostface is going after Sam. We're supposed to believe that's because of internet stuff. Like they're targeting people that are in Sam's life, her friends. Does Gail consider herself part of Sam's circle of friends? Maybe. I'm not saying that she doesn't think she's completely off limits, but like, yeah, Ghostface could come after her. It is the city and all that. But like, if she's even bitching like on her laptop, like, sorry, no press allowed. Like, fuck you. Like, there's a world, and I don't think I'm having to do that much legwork here, but there's a world where I could see her coming home and being upset. And her boyfriend even mentions like the food will be here in however many minutes. So he's like, all right, babe, why don't you just take a seat, get relaxed, like let's just order some food and like try to calm her down. It never occurred to me that I needed her like hunkered down with triple locks and a gun. Like, do I see that? Sure, that would be an interesting scene for a movie to have. It never occurred to me that was something missing though.
She's been in the franchise.
That's something I see Sydney doing.
But since 1996, but this is this is the other thing that I have. Like so many people, there are a lot of people who thought that the way she was handled was absolute perfection, and I can't speak to that because I don't feel it. But like I was surprised actually because after I saw the movie the first time, I was like, ooh, I wonder what the internet backlash is going to be. And that opening weekend, most of what I heard in response to Screevy was positive, and not just like positive, but like overwhelmingly, yes. Shoot the moon, we're coming, like gushes and gushes, explosions.
Ramon.
Exactly. I'm just like and I was like, oh really? Okay. I don't have my finger on the pulse at all.
Yeah, that opening weekend there was a lot of hype from people, and then I saw some, and I still to this day see a lot of like, I don't know. I don't feel that they did Gail dirty, and nor do I think they did Gail perfection. It was, I don't know. But well, yeah, I don't like, to me that I love her whole scene, and this is weird. I feel like I'm you right now and you're me.
That's
because I watched that scene and I don't know if it was on the edge of my seat, but once, first of all, fucking great moment. Can you please hold? Huh?
That's great.
Yeah. Hearing Ghostface go, huh? Fuck.
Yeah, I love it. What? Wait.
But also,
what? Doesn't he say wait? And
no,
then,
he goes, huh?
Huh? Okay. Yeah. Whatever he says. I thought he said wait, but
there's a lot of little beats that maybe I'm easy, but she goes and gets the gun, boom, boom in the door, and I'm like, yeah. And like, what if you miss me? Or she's like, I'm gonna shoot you in their fucking head. I'm like, yeah, shoot him in the fucking head. Going out in the hall, does the phone thing. So that way you can hear it ring and wherever he's at. Yeah. Oh, he's over there. Boom, 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 boom. I'm like, I'm all for it. Anyway,
yeah, that's cool.
Once, presumably she, because that's Quinn at that point. When Ghostface comes in, that's when, like, to me, the choreography goes up another notch, and it's like, oh shit, you're in danger. Oh fuck, you're getting stabbed. Oh fuck, you're getting stabbed again. And the fact that once they're both on the ground and he's crawling, he's like, half step, knife in the ground, half step, knife in the ground, like a fucking beast, like a fucking skeleton from like Army of Darkness, like, like it, like to me, it was really tight choreography for what it was. The fact that it was, I don't know, this is just like a nerdy thing for me, but the fact that it wasn't a set, but they actually found like an apartment and they actually filmed in a real location and went out onto a real balcony. The fact that this Ghostface is far less clumsy, far less stumbling over furniture. I was on that ride. So towards the end of that fight, when she's getting stabbed and the music's going, I'm just like, oh, fuck, are you gonna fucking kill her? Oh fuck, you gonna fucking kill her? Fuck, I'm gonna hate this. Are you gonna fucking, like, I was on the ride and I felt such relief when they're like, oh, we have a pulse. I'm like, oh, like I got to be Eddie. I took what was presented and I went on the emotional journey.
And I couldn't. I didn't have the proper baggage, but I do have to say, yes.
I was so on the ride.
Okay, good for you. I'm
And
glad.
I think it's not a kill scene, but as far as mounting and a chase in a house or a place, like it's one of the better Scream fights, I'd say.
I would not agree.
You don't agree, but I
No,
dug
because
it.
also this is another thing. Like, and again,
I do have a nitpick, which after
oh
you.
yeah, okay. And I mean, say what you will, like it maybe it's unfair to compare and everything like that, but this is the thing. I've heard the kill scene for Dewey in Five Cream get criticized heavily. Subsequently, there are a lot of people who are, no, yeah, no, but and this is the thing. I can understand, like, there are like naysayers who it didn't work for. It worked for me. I saw it and I was just kind of like, when the elevator doors are closing and he's like, like that's because I don't even remember what's the exchange. It's something like Sam like saying like, "Don't go back." It's what does she say? I don't even remember.
He stops. He's like, "Oh, head." After shooting the head, she's like, "I think she's something like, you don't have to go back." He's like, "Yeah, I do."
Yeah, something like that. And then the elevator, something like that. See, I don't even remember the exchange. That's the thing. But I try not to overwatch these movies because I don't want. I don't know. I don't want to get used to them. But even Screepy. But okay. But the thing is, like, as I'm watching Little Dewey be brave, because he's still Little Dewey, even though like he's older and sexier than he's ever been for me. He's still he can still be Dewey, like just kind of like, well, I think maybe you're the killer. Because that was, I don't remember what the word he used.
That cuts deep.
Because that cut deep. And I'm like, oh, poor Dewey. There's my Dewey. It's all right. That's my Dewey. And Dewey getting in the car and going with Sam back to the hospital and everything like that. And him just like with the elevator doors and going back and shooting in the head and everything. People have criticized it as a stupid move, especially going alone, because it's like he's almost going back for his death. But the thing is, for me, as a lover of these films, I just get caught up in the movie of it, because he's the action hero in that moment. He is assuming the role of like, that's me always doing the stupid thing, king. And he goes back, and the fact that he's I think it's also the fact that it always makes it, I'm already emotional, but what gets the tears flowing for me always is Ghostface recognizing Amber, for lack of a better term, recognizing his relevance in the franchise, and in a meta way his relevance to us, by saying it's an honor, because it's the suckiest fandom, it is the toxicest fandom that ever there was. And it just, but also again, the recognition of exactly what you're doing, you bastard. And because it's so amped up for me and emotional, I think that was another thing that upset me, because I was like, Gail's getting attacked. This is the least emotional I've ever been about Gail, a character I love through it all, getting attacked by Ghostface. Again, I'm more affected when she's getting tracked by Ghostface in the barn over in Scroforum, and that's not even one of my favorite attacks there either, when she's like swapping out the cameras and turning them back and then everything, and he's there and she's on the floor, do it, and all that stuff. That's I would watch that before I would watch her apartment scene.
Oh yeah, no, I'd watch her apartment scene.
No, it just didn't work for me.
If anything, I get mad at her in Screeform for going back, because I'm like, because she sees that her cameras are all being covered, and I'm like, who do you think's covering them?
Right.
And you're going just to like, God, you fucking idiot! Don't go back in there, you moron. So I like her in Scream 4, but I get so mad at her for going back into the barn.
I understand,
especially after she calls Dewey.
Yeah,
like so dumb.
I'd still rather watch that than watch her in her apartment with her also her boyfriend's gutted. She barely seems to give a shit about it. He's just like, see, that looks like all those muscles weren't enough to fight me up, or whatever the fuck Ghostface says. And
that's my nitpick note that I was going to come back to is
yeah, that's your nitpick.
It's weird. He's just this guy, and I don't need you to define, well, what is his relationship to her? He could just be some guy that she's fucking. I don't give a shit if what his term is, but he just sort of says the food's going to be here soon, and then I don't know. He has this other scene where he leaves the room, and I just thought, like, I'm not saying you need to jam this guy into the movie 3 scenes earlier, but like, this ain't enough. Not even for me to give a shit about him dying, because I don't really care either way. But like, I don't understand how he even really matters to her. He's just a guy that gets pulled away in this shot and then falls through. And I just thought, man, if there had been just 2 or 3 lines you could have given this dude a little bit in that scene, a zinger, something,
or
2 of them, or just make him nothing, and she could just refer to him as some boy. I don't know, but like either make him matter less or you got to make him matter more. But this was such a random inclusion.
What I would have loved, the way you make him relevant, is his struggle with Ghostface. If you have Gale like on the phone and then all of a sudden like, what? Because she's hearing and he's like wrestling with Ghostface, but he's stabbed. So anybody who's stabbed like in the back or wherever you get stabbed with a knife, you're gonna be a little derailed. You're gonna be off your game and everything like that. So you're gonna struggle. Be like, what are you doing? Why are you behind me? Oh, yeah. And if she could hear it earlier, and if they could actually kind of like fight Ghostface together in a way where she's trying to protect him, but I don't know. I mean, everything about it I would have changed.
Yeah, I was trying to think about like all these other like I remember thinking, God, is it Casey or Cece, whoever Jenny McCarthy plays in Scream 3.
Yeah.
And they make a joke about how she's only in 2 scenes. And then she's in the movie for 2 scenes, but I'm like, just being aware of it, like I feel so bad. Like she's such a non-character. I don't give a shit. And I started thinking about the few times Scream does include like these sort of non-characters that I don't care about that much.
Yeah.
Like the opening like I like Scream 4, but the first 2 girls in the very first scene from Scream 4, we don't really get to know them. And then they die. But I don't ever feel I haven't ever left wanting the way this guy gets thrown through the shelf unit and Gale and I just go like, oh no, that guy died.
And Jenny McCarthy's character name was Sarah Darling. It was driving me nuts because I couldn't remember. You said, I know Cece is Buffy, Sarah Michelle Gellar, and what was the other name you said? I don't remember.
Casey. I don't know if it was a callback to Casey or Cece. Yeah.
No, yeah, and Casey is of course Drew Barrymore, but yeah, she's Sarah Darling. But let me see. Do I have any other bitching to do about Gale? Not really, I think, because she's not really in much more of the movie than what we're commenting on. So, and that's another, but that's ultimately the big thing for me. Is I was just like, she could have been. I don't know how much this is a reworked version of the script that was originally sent to Neve Campbell. I don't know if Neve was supposed to be Kirby's role in some capacity, maybe not FBI, but something like that. Just like taking initiative and just trying to do as much research as possible or whatever. I don't know. I would love to see that draft, that was sent to Neve Campbell. To know like, okay, did you completely rework the script, or is this just like, kind of like a revised version of like what you sent to her? But that said, like I didn't miss in the best way possible. I love the way they explain away Sydney, and I didn't miss her in this movie. I was like actually kind of relieved there was one less character to have to focus on.
Was I upset that Neve Campbell was in the way the news came out, where it became about her worth to the studio? Yes, of course, I was very upset.
Of course.
But do I want her in the movie? I mean, I guess, but also like there gets to be a point where like, how many times are they going to come after fucking Sydney? Yeah. Or in this case, Sam and Tara, and why is Sydney around? And I remember there was a vocal part of the community that's like, good, can you just let her fucking live?
Yeah.
So with Sam as your new heroine, like, do you need Sydney to come back? Like, I like that the line in this movie kind of echoed what a chunk of the fan base was saying, was like, hasn't she been through enough? Maybe she could just be happy and over there now. So that line of like she's earned her happy ending or something to that effect. I thought that was another kind of meta line reflecting things, and I was fine with it. I don't want to say I didn't miss her, but when I watched this story, I wasn't watching going, how the fuck is Sydney in this?
I mean, okay. Oh, because I left out one thing about Gale.
Go on.
Well, okay. They get into the shrine, and they're all, and we already kind of covered this with the Kirby and the Mindy. But there's also a moment shared between Gale and Sam. And I was so close to being moved. Like I was just kind of like, oh, see, this makes a little bit more sense to me. I wish we gotten here in a way that felt halfway authentic, but we're here. Okay, that's good. But or if it not even that it felt authentic, if it had been earned, let's just put it that way.
Sure.
But I mean, it made it so that I felt like Gail was so underutilized in this script that she didn't really need to be there either. Like I guess she needs to be there because we need one legacy character who's been in every other movie, and we can't have Dewey, and Sydney's not in the script, so I guess we need a Gail. But I mean, I feel like it would have been Kirby could have just as easily found the shrine and it wouldn't have been a problem. Like Gail basically takes a punch and she finds the shrine and she gets attacked. And like those are the only things that happen to her really in the movie. So I'd be fine if everything that she does was either extricated like with her, or if they just assigned it to another character like Kirby or somebody.
Yeah.
I think the movie would have run a lot smoother for me.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I kept this in my head, but I remember when I heard that Courtney Cox is coming back.
Yeah.
That Hayden Panettiere is coming back.
Yeah.
It took place in New York. I'm like, well, Gail lives in New York.
Yeah.
Is this gonna have something to do with Gail, like on her TV show, having like Ghostface survivors and like Ghostface attacking a studio? And then, I mean, not like I'm saying that was a better movie, but at least that gets her into the story more organically because it's actually about her show and her thing. And, you know, I wasn't saying I'm disappointed, but I still wonder, like, that's a movie right there, what I just described to you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's another thing about this. Like here we discussed in the last episode about kind of like, and even in our Five Cream discussion about like what direction we'd like to, or we'd expect, or whatever we'd predict possibly that the franchise could take with a sixth movie. And interestingly enough, I watched this one and I guess you've kind of hit the nail on the head with me. Like, I guess this is what I'm going to tell myself it's about, franchises. Because now that they're in their sixth movie, they have a franchise. But arguably, I'd say by the fourth movie, because they were still making movies 10 years later, okay, you've got a franchise. Like, I mean, it was a franchise. It was arguably a franchise the first three movies. I mean, you got a DVD box set, and you've got a bonus disc, and you've got documentaries made about it.
But again, trilogy is so finite, and a reboot, like, to me, when they say franchise, they mean Bond, fucking Fast and the Furious.
Sure.
Episode 9 of something. Yeah.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
But
it's on. To me, it doesn't serve that premise to the degree that the requels and the reboots. I still think the third movie kind of underserves the concept of a trilogy to a certain degree, but that one serves trilogies better than this one serves franchises.
I would argue in a big way because
I mean, it's actually in a bad way, but the whole like overreaching about something from the past coming back to
but because it actually lands for me. Yeah, because it actually lands for me. It gives me one of my favorite Sydney moments of the franchise, which is when she's there for her brother.
Yeah,
you know, out of nowhere. And again, that was a random act of kindness for someone who had done nothing to deserve it. But in that moment, Sydney had compassion and enough patience to at least sit with someone while they died. She didn't need to spit on him. She didn't need to even sneer at him. She chose to let him not be alone in his final moment in this realm of consciousness.
I love any opportunity for this subject to come up. Eddie will always.
You
love it.
Really.
Yeah. I will say this before we like really, because we're kind of on the subject a little bit.
Yeah.
Again, I've said this. I like this movie.
Yeah, me too.
But I can't acknowledge that I have some mixed feelings about it in that there are times where it feels like, oh, we are doing something kind of different. It's the sixth movie and you are exploring, but it doesn't fully reach the potential of doing something really new. It also does a lot of very familial things. Familial is different. There's to a fault, just when you think it could be new, it's too familiar. And if you want familiarity, it kind of goes off in some different directions. So I'd be curious. I was satisfied, but I wonder if people who want something new were dissatisfied, or people who really wanted the same were dissatisfied. Because it really, to me, it doesn't reach
Yeah.
far enough. There are some moments in here that like, let me give you an example.
Like,
Opening scene, which we
yeah.
like.
Yes.
Jason takes off the mask and we're like, oh, what?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And you almost think that this could be, where's this movie going? But then it turns out it's just these two guys for the first 5 minutes to get killed off, and then our movie just goes forward, and that's our ghost face. And these are just like two guys, and they really don't matter. So despite the fact that you think you're getting something new, it's just another Scream movie. It's actually nothing new in that avenue. You really feel like you're going down a new path, and it's just an effect. It's just a shock. It's just a beat. And then we just proceed with the real ghost face and who's the killer and a reveal at the end. And part of me, look, I like these movies, and I'm guilty of this. I went into Scream 6 going, I can't wait to find out who the killer is at the end. I can't wait to see the mask come off. I can't wait to hear the monologue. I think the people who make these movies are not wrong in thinking this is what the audience expects. So kudos for giving me what I expect. But I think if you did something different and you nailed it, I wouldn't be upset at you if I had, like, this is the first time in the franchise I became like aware of, oh, now we have the big set piece at the end. Yeah, now he's gonna take the mask off, and then we're gonna get the explanation. And if someone was to ask me, like, what was it about? I'm like, well, it's like all the other ones. There's killings, and then someone does the thing at the end. And I went, oh, I'm not necessarily tired of it, but it was the first time I became aware of, like, this is what a Scream movie is. And I thought, what if you would apply that opening scene to, like, okay, here's what I'm not saying what I would have done, but instead of having the mask reveal in the last 10 minutes of the movie, what if you did it like 30 or 40 minutes into the movie? And now I'm actually aware who the Ghostface is and whether they're going to get away with it or not.
Yeah.
And what all this matters to them. And that would give me something new and something different for a completely different story going forward, which I realized was actually Kevin Williamson's premise for Scream 5, was that Jill survived 4 and went to college, and there's some other Ghostface killing people and framing her, and then she had a Ghostface up to, like, protect herself.
Oh my god!
And it was like Ghostface versus Ghostface, but who's the other Ghostface? I'm like, oh, you're following a Ghostface, and I thought, yeah, that's something different for 6. The reveal is not, it's the midway point. Or if you'd open the whole movie, and what if the whole movie I was following Jason and wondering,
that's what I was gonna say.
His motives? Why does he want to get away with it?
Yeah.
And then what's the wrinkle? I don't know. There's so much they could have done. And I can't help but wonder if Scream 7, because I'm sure there'll be one.
Yeah.
Didn't
it get greenlit already? It got greenlit, right?
I keep reading these. No, but like, as far as I know, I know that the dudes who wrote 5, like, when 5 was, I think, like opening weekend or whatever, like, they're already starting to write their 6.
Right.
And I know there was some podcast with Radio Silence where they said, like, well, I'm sure those guys are writing 7 now, but, like, we haven't. Right. They write it and they show it to us, and then, you know, the ball gets rolling. So there's, as far as I know, there's been no green light, but I just think I'm ready now for the franchise to actually try something a little different.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to fuck with the formula too much, but, you know, there was so much, Eddie, there was so much hype, and there's, because you didn't watch the trailer, but I think it was either in the trailer, it was definitely in a bunch of commercials. But you know, when, like, a line is used that's either not in the movie or from a different place in the movie?
Yeah.
Like, I think the trailer for Scream 5, Sydney comes into the house and you hear, "It's an honor," and that's not where that line is placed.
No.
There was all these shots of, like, Ghostface, and he's like, "I'm something different," and you're like, what is something? Who is he? And it turns out that line's not even in the fucking movie. But I kept wondering, like, what if you had Ghostface who's truly some. The most different thing about this one is he trips and falls less than the other ones.
And I kind of missed it, actually.
I didn't. I actually found that really, that to me, that was one of the scary, like, he's slashing throats in the bodega and he's running after Gale and, like, jumping over couches and running and stabbing on the ground, and I'm like, oh fuck. Like I appreciated that.
You mentioned Army of Darkness when you referenced like the way Ghostface was like knifing across the ground, and that's probably why it didn't work on me, because you know how I feel about Army of Darkness within the franchise of The Evil Dead. Like it's not my favorite.
I don't know. The Terminator, Terminator reaching for Sarah Connor. There you go.
Okay, there's that. But no, just in response to everything that you're saying, like I feel like we kind of touched on it when we did discuss the opening sequence with Jason and everything like that. Like that was one of the things that blew my mind, was when he just like took his mask off, and I thought, oh my god, is this what the movie is going to be? Are we going to follow Ghostface knowing exactly who it is? That is so different. I can't believe my head is exploding.
If it had.
Yeah, if it had, it teased.
He had that reaction to the movie, and not just.
I mean, I can see from a studio standpoint where it would be smarter to at least introduce the idea and then kind of rescind it and give the people what they expect.
That's why I'll give you 30, 40, 60 minutes of that, and then just change the third act.
No, but I feel like I can see why trying something new, as far as like keeping a studio happy, would be like, well, we're trying something new, but we're not rewriting the Scream formula. We're still doing the Scream formula, but we're just trying something new to see would this be palatable for an audience? Is an audience going to respond like favorably to this? So then the next time we do it, if we want to do something completely different, we know that people are kind of like thirsty for it, which I think they are. I know I am, for fuck's sake. Because like I said, what I really don't want to see is a Scream 7 that is really like a 90 to 120 plus minute homage to Scream 3.
I think they'd be smart enough to not do that.
I hope. Halloween wasn't.
There's my sigh. Can I just go back to the Gale scene? Because I only have one note.
Please do.
It's the little things, and this is just movie things that bug me. But good Lord, it bugs me.
Yeah.
Gail's about to die. They've got the knife over her face.
Yes.
And then we don't know that the Carpenter sisters are in the room. And Sam yells, "Hey, fuck face." And he looks up, and then she starts shooting. He runs away. When you have the drop on someone, just shoot them.
Yeah.
Don't say, "Hey, fuck face." I'm going to go, "Huh?" and run. Like, and not only does it bug me, but I saw it opening night, and this is a horrible row of, like, I swear to God, like 10 teenagers. And they all got, and they're all very, very loud. But the second he did that, this guy was like, "Don't fucking yell. Don't say shit before you shoot. What a stupid bitch, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, first of all, shut up. But also, you're not wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so checked out at that point. I'm just kind of like, come on, let's get this going, because I want to get to the point where we get back to the core 4 and Melissa Barrera gets to make that speech that makes me cry. I want to feel the things again. But yes.
Another little thing, because I'm going to have a bunch of little things in this podcast. Just heads up.
Yeah.
No, but the scene before that, when they are at the park and they figure out it's going to be Gail's apartment.
Yeah.
And they start running towards the car. And Sam's like, "Oh, I got a friend who lives in that area." And then, like, Bailey's like, "I don't know. Can you really trust him though?" I love that in hindsight. I'm like, "Oh, you're the killer though."
Right.
Yeah, you need to convince her to not call her friend. Like, good job. You're protecting your ass. Like,
right. Yeah.
Good job convincing her to not call Danny. That's good second viewing Ghostface shit. Because it's plausible that, like, he would suggest that for her to not call.
Yeah, I agree.
In its own right. So yeah, good job. Do you have any more about Gail? All Gailed out.
I mean, no, yeah, I think I might be, unless something else, occurs to me. But but the thing is, I feel like one thing, luckily it hasn't occurred to me in subsequent viewings, but I do remember the first time I saw the movie, I thought way too many people survived in this movie. Like,
you're also emotionally, I don't say you're not wrong, but you're in the same page as me. One of the lines in the explaining of in this far in the franchise is bigger body count.
Right.
And even I didn't even remember that line, but I remember when 6 ended, I'm like, that's a pretty small kill count. And the second time I saw it, I'm like, bigger body count. I'm like, but this one doesn't have that. First of all, like, there are 2 different people who we just find dead in a in a shower and dead in a fridge that we don't even see get killed.
Yes, yes.
Essentially, like Annika, therapist, you know, Mindy survives an attack.
Right. And so
Obviously the
does
killers at the
Chad.
end, but like
Yeah.
they basically go after Quinn,
Yeah.
Annika, therapist, Gale. It's a
But
pretty small kill count.
yeah, and Chad, like, but miraculous
Yeah.
recovery again
There's
from
a lot of
Chad. So
technicalities. You can go, well, the guy's in the bodega. Yeah, okay. Gail's boyfriend. Yeah, all right. You know, two customers in the shop. So you could look at the counts, but like as far as like extended kill scenes, there isn't a lot of. But that's not to me what I come to this movie for. I come to it actually for the core four.
no, I agree. But the thing is, at this stage, another thing that like feels like a franchise, and unfortunately, like if that's the card we're playing, it needs to build in its intensity. And I need to, if nothing else, feel more afraid of Ghostface than ever, which at times I do. There are times where this isn't a highly effective Ghostface. I feel like Ghostface gets more and more brutal and more looming for me. Or maybe I shouldn't say more and more, but I'm surprised as the movies progress, because that's one thing that I find with like our I call them contemporary classics, but they're no longer contemporary. So our classic slasher films, you know, that are like kind of like manned by Freddy and Jason and Michael Myers, arguably with all of them as we move through at least the original run of movies, the arcs, the original storylines, the original timelines, they all tend to get less and less scary for various reasons, you know, that we unpack when we discuss these movies. But Ghostface is getting teeth for me. Like more and more, I'm just kind of like, wow, I'm scared of Ghostface in another way that I never was before. Like whether it's the sheer brutality or the sheer, like, I mean, it began with that kind of brutality, but I would argue like the brutality that we got from the stabs into Casey Becker in that opening scene in the first movie, I didn't really get anything that intense the rest of the movie. I didn't need it because there were so many other things going on, but I was never more scared of Ghostface in that movie than in the opening sequence. And there have been, I think, moments of that in every sequel that's followed. Although 3, I don't know. Was I ever scared of Ghostface in 3? I don't think I get scared in 3 at all.
I don't at all.
But
it's too goofy. I like it, but it's too fucking goofy of a movie to take seriously.
Yeah, I don't get it. I'm there for, again, the core four, or not the core four, but the holy trinity of the original, the triad of Scream OG.
Speaking of Scream 3, sorry to interrupt. No, just a little, like the museum, the shrine of stuff.
Yes,
there's a lot of stuff in there that was like, oh, that's interesting. But then the one I just went, the fax machine, and the little lighter. Get out, really?
I guess because it took place in Hollywood, and because everyone knows that when bad things happen to famous people, everybody wants a piece, you know, especially people who go to crime scenes, you know, like they might like pocket a little evidence that isn't all that incriminating, or at least keep it on hold until it's been processed and it no longer needs to remain, you know, on file or whatever, tagged and, you know, lockered and everything like that it can kind of get lost and sold, you know, for profit to a collector of sorts. So I don't know.
I can't just.
I just thought of that.
If there wasn't a stab movie though that maybe reflected that death scene, how would someone even know?
Because it's not a shrine to the stab movies.
No, correct. But that's how someone is finding out, is because or Gail's book. So let me put it that way. Gail's book. I mean, I guess, you know, once you go to the site and the fire's put out, you still collect evidence. Go, oh, he probably the fire started with his lighter. Put that back.
Right.
I guess. I don't know.
Also, because there were multiple celebrities like at that party.
That's true.
So,
that's true. The other one that cracks me up, and I'm not judging the movie. It just made me go hee. I just forgot Casey Becker's boyfriend's name.
Is it
fighter.
Steve.
It's fine that they got Steve's jacket, right? It's cute that they even mocked it up by putting him on a little chair. But the fact that the mannequin has tape on its mannequin head, it's just so silly. Because it's not the tape from the crime scene. It's just tape.
I didn't realize that I noticed that until you just said that. I'm like, oh my God, it totally does.
They totally put tape on the mannequin's head.
I think I just accepted it, but I was too while they were, you know, like all looking at it. That's funny. That's, you've seen it like twice as much as I have, though. So yeah.
I have to imagine that fucking Richie is the one who did that. Well, it doesn't look good without the, you know, it's missing something. Now it looks like the thing, you know, but it just makes me laugh.
Toxic fandom. Yeah.
Just makes me laugh. No, but also I don't want to say like I missed a note, but there was something that I wrote down that kind of tied into what we're saying earlier.
Yeah.
When Mindy runs up at the end, the very end.
Yeah.
Did I miss the monologue again?
Yeah.
It's funny, right?
You're laughing. Funny to me. Yeah, I'm laughing.
But it is also a commentary on the fact that this is the formula.
Yes.
And if you want to hold it against the movie for doing the same thing again, you could argue, well, that line, making commentary on the thing doesn't excuse it. However, I'm not upset at the movie for doing it. I think it's a funny line, but it does kind of echo the fact that, like, you are doing the same thing. It is the monologue again. And wouldn't something truly different would be neat. Now that you've even commented, did I miss the monologue again? I just think it'd be nice to have something slightly new someday that still felt Scream enough. Maybe that didn't end. It didn't end with the last 10 minutes with reveal, you know?
I'm just thinking right now about the 6th movie in a franchise. And comparatively speaking, I think Screevy is way better than it has any business doing, considering than any business being, considering the fact that I'm thinking back, and I know that, like, I don't know, for whatever reason, it feels like studios are kind of hip to the fact that, like, oh, we're not just making money releasing these movies, like there are people who care about these movies, so maybe we should, like, care a little bit, or hire people who care a little bit about making them, because that wasn't always the case with, like, our original slashers. I'm thinking in terms of, like, I mean, the stories of behind the making, various stories, but like behind the making of, say, Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, or Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, or I mean, I know it's a lot of people's favorite, Part 6, Friday the 13th, Jason
I like
Lives. Not mine, not me.
I know,
but
I like it.
I know you
quite
do.
a bit.
Good for you. You can do a double feature of that and Army of Darkness, and I'm just going to be sitting here with my seltzer. But and even, like, because I'm thinking, like, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the 6th movie in that franchise, isn't that the beginning?
So you're just numerically speaking,
and
not canon stopping and starting. Yes, the beginning is 6.
Well, because even if we go canon stopping and starting, like, it would be Leatherface, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
2018. So either way, for me. But so yeah, so if we're talking, like, let me see, wait, 6th movie, I like Curse of Chucky. Like, I'm trying to think other, like, 6th sequels.
Well, are we talking strictly horror?
Yeah.
Okay.
Horror franchises. I mean, we can go other franchises too.
Saw 6 is good.
So I like Saw 6 a lot. Saw 6 actually, is
really good.
Yeah, Saw 6 is awesome. But what other because I haven't done the Fast and the Furious. So how is 6?
Well, that's why I'm asking non-horror, because, like, thing is, we're living in this new age, and I'm kind of loving it. And I remember like being in it when, like, Fast and the Furious 5 came out, and we're like, how the fuck is 5 like the best one? What the fuck just happened?
Right.
And then 6 came out. Like, how the fuck is 6 good? And then varying opinions, but like, I'm like, how the fuck is 7 good? And then to me, the big one, to me was, I'll just go chronologically. Mission Impossible, fucking great. 2, piece of shit. 3. That was pretty good. And Mission Impossible 4 came out, and I'm like, how the fuck is 4 this good? It's better than 3. 4 is pretty great. And then I remember when they announced they're doing 5, I'm like, Mission Impossible, quit while you're ahead. There's no reason 4 should be that good. And guess what?
Oh boy.
Mission Impossible 5 is better than 4. So then they announced 6, and I'm like, no, seriously, like you can't keep doing this. Quit while you're ahead. Mission Impossible 6 is the best one since 1.
Oh wow. Okay.
And if someone ever said it was their favorite, I wouldn't judge them for it. Like Henry Cavill fucking loads his fucking arms. Like it's great.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's so good.
Oh, okay. It's that one. Okay.
It's not, but it's like a legit.
I haven't seen it, but yeah.
The Mission Impossible franchise. Like Eddie, we're living in an age where parts 4, 5, 6 are like some of the best movies in the series.
Sure.
It's weird. It didn't used to be like that, kids.
It
used to be
didn't.
like no one's favorite police academy was 4, 5, 6, you know?
I mean, I tend to lean in on the 5s, just not on principle or anything like that. I just kind of one day while I was ranking things, I noticed like people usually start turning on a franchise around 5. And I was like, I tend to lean into the 5 in any franchise. There are always exceptions, but in most cases, I am a 5er.
Yeah.
I'm a 5 to lifer. But
and there's always examples of that's not the case. You know, Jurassic Worlds.
I was just going to say,
Kingdoms in the
I mean,
the Pirates of the Caribbean, like 4 and 5. Just
I'll watch Fallen Kingdom before I'll watch the 6th one, though. What's the 6th one even called? I can't remember.
I don't remember either.
Yeah, right. I saw that movie, and
me too. I honestly can't remember the name of it. I remember Fallen Kingdom. I don't remember. Yeah.
I don't know. And I remember.
But
I mean,
the
I only
gang
saw it
and the
once,
gang—they're all
but-
together in one movie.
Yeah,
and
it couldn't matter less.
You know the dinosaur
Unfortunately.
franchise you like? Giant bugs. Now I don't know.
Yeah, no, I like the ones with the feathers, but we'll talk about that another time.
Can I throw?
Yes, throw whatever you like.
Well, here's a random little thing that bugs me.
Yeah.
And this might lead me to my big, like, you have a Gale, I have my own thing.
Ooh.
And I think this will lead me into it. So,
Okay.
You call him Hank, I call him Henry Czerny.
Yeah.
We've touched upon why he's a bad therapist, and yes, we could go into the specifics of how she needs help, and but the thing that gets me that we didn't talk about last time is that when she does open up and she goes, okay, so I had a boyfriend who was really serial killer, and because my dad, blah 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 blah, and he goes, starts writing all this down, and it was just, and this is when he turns on her, right? Like he abandons her at this moment. And I went, there's a fucking book that Gail wrote. All this information's out there. Like I don't know. I've never asked a therapist this, but when you get a patient, do you ever just Google them?
No, I don't think you're supposed to.
Are you not supposed to? I don't know.
I don't. It feels sketchy.
I'm not saying to judge them, but like, it seems like Gail Weathers written some books. Like it's just funny to me that this info exists. How the fuck have you not? I think
It would have been interesting if they would have addressed that. If we could have gotten an answer from him. And does he know about it? That would have been interesting to know. Does he have prior knowledge of her at all? And did that
he seems to know who Billy Loomis is, because he gets like upset when the name comes up.
Yeah.
Which, side note, I didn't talk about this in our Scream 5 discussion, but I do like in Scream 5 when they're watching the bonus features.
Yeah. And
there's like a documentary and it's got a photo of Billy Loomis, and it's like a promo photo of Skeet, like looking sexy.
Yeah.
And
with,
I'm like,
with the hair and everything.
I'm like, they use the production still from Scream as a real photo.
Yeah, it's back in this one too.
On the killer board.
Yes. I love
all these like very generic photos, and then production still sexy face.
I know. I wouldn't be surprised, or I wouldn't even be like upset if they if they were just kind of like, that was the wait, where's my pen? Like, and that was the night that Casey Becker was the first victim, and then there's Casey Becker, like a picture of Drew Barrymore on the phone, like like we've seen, like all this.
Oh my dude,
and it's just a production still,
There's oh my god, I love it. There's a part, this won't mean anything to you, but to everybody, in the Fast and the Furious movie, in Fast X, there's a part where like they go to like the villain's lair. He's got all these photos that he's been watching Dom and his family for years.
Sure.
But all the photos are like screenshots from the other movies.
Oh God, that's so cool.
Like they're all production stills or shots from the movies themselves.
I've only seen the first 3 of movies of that franchise. I really need to make my way through it.
I remember. Okay. Hey everybody. Remember that time you came over and we watched all the Planet of the Apes like in a day?
Yeah.
My dream is to come over. We watch Fast X, like 1 through X, and Hobbs and Shaw. Fucking rage on all that that fake.
I saw the trailer for X and I felt I could feel people's heads exploding. I didn't know why, but I was like, okay, people are obviously, this is meaningful. Someone's going to be like, you know, over these 2 or something, you know, over this meeting. Like I think I felt the same way. I don't know if it was Hobbs and Shaw, but I mean, every time I see it, I keep seeing trailers for those movies and it's always like, here's a significant moment.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
trailer for F9. First of all, F9 ruins the reveal of a character, but that character, like in the trailer, everyone was like, what? It's soap opera BS. They're not. Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, bad therapist doesn't know that this book. So here, I don't. This isn't a deal. This isn't record scratch. I don't have a problem with it, and I've actually gotten better with it over time. Again, remember how I told you, like the first 3 times I saw this movie, like I was just so bombarded with this cast and this story, and it was new, and the mode. Just like I just was like, wow, there's a lot, and now I've just sort of, I see the story now.
Yeah.
I don't 100% jive with the killer's motive in this movie. I'm not saying, I mean, it's 80-90%. I'm not like, this is nonsense. But like, okay, let me take you on my journey, because I think that's how it'll make the most sense.
Please.
When I saw this movie, even the first time, they establish in the therapist's office, she goes, no, so, you know, there was this thing that happened in Woodsboro. And I go, She goes, and then people started seeing on the internet that, and she shows the therapist's phone, that I was the one who was behind it all. And I went, oh, that's interesting. Okay. And I took that data and then I just went over here. So later, when Quinn comes into the room and she says, after we lost my brother, my dad wouldn't leave me alone. I went, oh, your brother's Richie. Okay. Like, why else would that be coming up? So when Ghostface calls Sam and Tara before the bodega, and he's like, I'm going to show the world who you really are. A liar and a killer. You're going to pay for what you did. I'm like, oh, it's revenge. Ghostface wants revenge for them for killing Richie.
Oh my God.
My brain didn't even go on the red herring journey that you're being blamed for all the murders. You were the mastermind. So that when they're saying, I'm going to show the world that you're a liar and a killer, it's that you're lying about all the murders you planned. I instantly was like, oh no, they're talking about how you killed Richie. Like, I didn't even fathom. And anytime they brought up, you know, and someone would be on their phone, they'd look at some things of Sam, or they mention, you know, the whole world hates me. I was just like, oh yeah, this is a thing that she's dealing with. And I'm not joking, Eddie. It was like the 4th or 5th viewing where I went, oh, I'm supposed to believe that that's what the killer's mad about. Oh, because to me, it just felt so obvious. Later, Quinn, when he comes out, he's like, both my kids are gone. I'm like, oh yeah, because you're Richie's dad.
Right.
That's why we're even bringing this up, right? I thought
Bailey went Bailey.
Like, look, I love Radio Silence. I said, yeah, I meant Bailey.
Yes.
I love Radio Silence. I thought the red herring just didn't work. Like, I just instantly was like, oh, you're his family. Like, this is it's who, like, it's one thing that Richie's calling her, but like, who would still have his stuff? Like someone who, right? Someone in his family, someone who knew him. So like, and they only, I just didn't go on that ride at all. So
that's so funny.
And I had the weirdest, and because of that, I had the most like shitty, judgy experiences in the theater because like I just forgot his name, but the guy who's shitty at a Chad.
Oh,
Ethan.
yeah, I was just gonna say.
Ethan takes off his mask.
Yeah.
And people go, and I go, oh, okay. And then, he looks at either he says something dad, or he says something son. And the first 2 or 3 times, multiple people in the audience would go, oh, dad, son. And I remember going like, the second he took off his mask, I'm like, oh, that's your dad, right? Because you're Rich's family.
Yeah.
Are we? I'm like, and I remember like being confused. I'm like, am I? Why is everyone reacting like it's? What the fuck am I not doing right? This is surprising me.
Okay. The only time I had your reaction, it wasn't to anything that you've mentioned up until now, because I did go on the ride, but I think I did say it out loud in the first screening, certainly, when they both revealed themselves. We got Bailey and Ethan with the mask off and everything. I'm just going like, oh, okay, so exactly, father, son, yeah. And then he's just like, dad. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. And that's Quinn. The other one who isn't got her mask off is Quinn. And that's why when they're just gonna like, so of course this ghost face is just like, is Mindy? And I'm like, no, it's Quinn. Yeah. And I think I said it out loud. I'm like, it's Quinn. And I'm like, oh shit, but I said very quietly. And I was kind of hoping I'd be wrong, and then she pulled her face, but then I was really happy, in that Virgo way where she takes the mask off and it's like, oh, that's right. And see,
yeah.
But I mean, it made all the sense in the world to me. I was just kind of like, yeah, she didn't really die. We never saw the body, and everything. I didn't put it together.
That's one of my
that
not
was
shitty.
The only one.
But we talked about this in a few other, like it's a sticking point to me in Scream 3. It's a big sticking point to me in Spiral. A movie I otherwise liked, but the big sticking point is the one person we don't see get killed. Of course he's in on that because he didn't show me his death scene. Spoiler alert for Spiral. So here's the one thing I will say in this movie's favor, though. Retroactive spoiler.
I love when you say spoiler after you've spoiled something.
When Quinn says, after we lost my brother, I went, oh, so you're Richie's sister. And then like 5 minutes later, my brain just forgot about it because the movie just kept giving me fucking, like data.
Okay.
Same thing with like, oh no, I lost both my kids. I'm like, oh yeah. And then like so here's the thing. When when Quinn's body is just tossed out of the room, I was like, oh shit, I didn't see you die. You could just be covered in red paint. And then the movie just kept going. The movie did a great job of making me forget. Like I'd go, and then boom. So good job in a weird way.
Right.
But I'll never forget continuing when, because I remember Tara and Sam still weren't getting it. And I'm like, they're his family. Why the fuck is this? And then she's like, because you killed my brother, you son of a bitch, or whatever. And people were like, oh, like so many gasps. And I'm just like, what? Fucking, I don't understand. And then again, like fourth viewing, I'm supposed to believe that the ghost face is doing revenge for all of Woodsboro because she's behind it all.
Right.
Therefore, all of this is supposed to be a reveal of something we didn't know. And it's just, I don't know, like one of my problems behind it, because here's the thing, Scream 2, I love its good old-fashioned revenge. One of the things I thought that was interesting about Scream 5 is that 1, 2, 3, 4, one of the two killers is always connected to something Sydney. Something spiraled out of that. Even 11 years later, like her niece has like a vendetta. Scream 5 was the first time it was two fucking randos. And I thought that was interesting. But I like that they didn't just keep that going for this one. It became personal again. And it's a callback to 5, and it's thematically, they're both about family, the good guys and the bad guys, all that shit. But this idea that like, I don't want to call it undercooked because that sounds, again, no offense to anyone who involved in this movie, but they say, the line has to work both ways, right? When it's a red herring, and then when you know the truth, stuff like, I'm going to show you the world who you really are, a liar and a killer, Gail already wrote a book. So like the world knows. Like
Yeah.
the line doesn't those lines don't work both ways. In fact, she literally calls her like unstable and a born killer, and like she gets
Yeah.
mad about it. So like it's out there. They tried to make a movie and no one wanted to.
Yeah.
Um and since there's no stab
Yeah.
nine, I could argue like, well, maybe less people don't know about it, but like I would buy into this more if Gail had never written the book, because then
Mm,
the public wouldn't have any information and I wouldn't bump up against that, because then it truly is a reveal that you're the one.
right.
But the data's out there. She wrote a whole book and accused her of being unstable. Like, The other thing I bump into is the fact that like they're so mad at her. You're a monster.
Yeah.
Kill her as we go and kill people. Like you're like, I don't know. Like on the one hand, like what a bunch of hypocrites, and this is silly. But like on the other hand, people dilute themselves, you know. So like the fact that they are so diluted, but it borderline felt silly to me how like murderous they were, but how mad at her they were for being murderous. Like I kind of want to chuckle sometimes at the degree of the hypocrisy.
I don't think they would have cared if she hadn't killed the number one son.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it just I don't know. I don't watch it and objectively just go like, I don't know if objectively is right. Yeah, objectively go like, well, of course they're just delusional and they're hypocrites because they've got their emotional reasoning and they just want to hurt people in her family and stuff, in her circle, and yet they also want to like stab people in a bodega and they want to kill her therapist so they can take a file. Like clearly, I don't know. So you could argue, yes, they are hypocrites, but that's because they're in their own. But the other thing that really kind of complicated things for me was I was so confused again in the early versions.
Yeah.
Where, okay, so they've got these masks and they're leaving them at the crime scene and they're counting down to something. And once they've killed Sam and Tara, they're going to put the final mask on Sam. And he'll say some poor dumb bastard read on the internet that you're the real Ghostface and took matters into their own hands. And I'm like, so we're just going to pin all of this on some random guy on the internet. And they're like, oh, but it's the perfect cover up because we set up that the internet thinks you're a killer. And I'm like, so the giant shrine. Okay, so these two other guys, they died. And this is their shrine, but that still has nothing to do with the fact that some random guy on the internet got involved in this. I don't. Why is some random person on the internet leaving masks at the crime scene and counting? How did they? Because for a while, I'm going to be honest with you, Eddie. The line isn't. It's read very quickly and it's kind of garbled a bit, in my opinion. I just heard like we're gonna put the mask in, and then some poor dumb. I always thought like some poor dumb bastard was gonna find all this, and that by putting the mask on Sam, that Sam was the one who was doing all of this. And to which I almost would believe more. Like if she's so crazy from Woodsboro, I guess you could pin it on her. But the problem is no, because she's too present for all these murders. How that doesn't make any sense. But I would at least believe someone like her snapping and leaving masks. But if it's not her, if it's some poor dumb bastard, like why would some poor dumb bastard be getting all these? Like I just, it's hate. I don't. It's not a poorly like for the villains of this movie. The shrine that they're letting the FBI find, but they're just hoping some random internet asshole. I don't know. It's not a clean getaway, you know. Doesn't work for me.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it was like an internet equivalent to like spoiler for Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal Lecter just kind of disappearing into that crowd right before the end credits roll or something. Maybe they just thought they could kind of go on living in anonymity. Because also, I mean, one of your kids is dead, so you can't be on the police force anymore. So what are you gonna? You're just gonna disappear and just assume other name? Like, I mean, that would have been interesting to hear too. Like, what's the plan after all this? Like,
Well,
you're a fucking cop.
that's the thing, Eddie. There's kind of a precedent for this with this franchise, but I excuse it more in the other one. I think it's all about execution. Because Jill,
yeah,
when they're at the hospital, once you leave your hospital again bed to try to go kill Sydney,
yeah,
how the fuck are you getting away with any of this?
Oh, but I love, yeah,
You're
she
not.
just doesn't
However,
care.
I love it because yes, at that point, fuck it.
Yeah,
I don't care about getting away with it at this point.
It's a kitchen sink mentality now. Yeah,
I just got to close this loop, and I don't care. Like
this is just silly.
So, like, I needed, if anything, I needed more of that Jill energy. And it seemed like, how the fuck are you three gonna get away with this? It doesn't quite tip into that. It needed to go in there enough, or write an excuse how you wouldn't. Because yeah, I mean, if you're supposed to believe that Kirch is Richie's real last name, then well, first of all, are Quinn and Officer Bailey's real last name Bailey? Obviously, Ethan, it's a fake name. Yeah. But like, Bailey's on the police force. How did you fake your way into the NYPD? Like, I don't know. Whatever.
No.
Little thing, it all just kind of crumbles a little bit. But I still like the revenge motive of it all. And we talked about how I love like Ethan looking up all his dads talking about his firstborn son.
Yes.
But, you know,
yes.
I you know, I like to a certain degree the shrine.
Yeah.
Back when we didn't know what it was, when those of us who saw the trailer were like, was it stab costumes or is it real life stuff? My brain thought, well, stab stuff makes way more sense because all this would be in police lockup or gone. And then once we get there and it's all real Scream stuff or real in-universe stuff, I just thought like, all right, so you all live in Northern California. So you had to like fly all this stuff to New York. And like rent this space and you know, like, and Richie didn't even dress. You mocked this space up. Did Richie have it on aware? I don't know. But one of the things I love was after we recorded our first Scream episode, I went and watched an episode with an interview with Radio Silence.
Yeah.
They were talking about how they were filming that scene and how the logistics of like they're from Northern California and stuff. And Dermot Mulroney improvised a line where like the shipping cost for all this was astronomical.
Oh my god!
It was such a pain in the ass to fly this all here, but like,
that's...
like he had the wherewithal to know that this. Oh, God bless him.
We needed
that dude.
Wait, did that line make it in? Because I don't remember hearing that line.
No. It's
okay, I didn't think so. That should have been in the movie. That's a good laugh.
He threw it in for one of the takes, and oh my god!
Don't tell us about the brilliant line. Put it in the damn movie. Oh,
and can I also just say, this is going to sound like a complaint, and it might be.
Why start now?
Well, no. Here's the thing, because we've talked about for other movies like the movie that you think you're gonna get versus the movie you get, and how usually you just kind of go in and let's just see the movie, and a lot of times I do too. And even with this movie, I put it all aside and I liked what I got. I just can't help but wondering what could have been, because I feel like there is squandered potential in that when you especially when you're watching just the trailer and you're looking at this shrine full of costumes. And they go, oh my God, like who would have all this? How does one get this? Like, who would want this? It's got to be, I don't want to say someone tied to Sydney's past, but it's got to be someone connected. It never occurred to me that just like, oh no, a super fan. And his dad got it all for him. Like, I was like, who there's so much that you could do also with it, like as a space, or some of the characters look at the things, but a room full of stuff like that I thought was going to mean more to the movie, or
Oh,
could mean more to the movie. And it's kind of just really neat set dressing that had so much more potential to have a bigger impact. And the fact that like we've got all these ghost face robes, and it just comes down to like, oh, you killed our son, and I don't know, we want you to put that one on because that was your dad's, and
and he's a killer, and so are you.
we're leaving all these masks. I'm like, oh, what are all the masks? Like, what are we counting down to? Like, this is someone who knows every ghost face. Like, who is this fucking Stu? Has he been like, who is following and knows all this? And it's just no, a movie fan and his dad's leaving masks at the scene of a crime. It's fine, but it felt like it was teasing a greater mystery. Didn't you feel like there was going to be a richer answer than what we got?
I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
no,
like that. How you feel about the Gale,
yeah.
and it should have been bigger. To me, all this was ripe for something bigger.
I mean, in retrospect, I can definitely see that, and also like imagining like having seen a trailer that reveals that. Um, you'd go. I can see that being like a jaw drop moment in a trailer, and then you go see the movie, and you're just kind of like, oh, it's just kind of there, as opposed to like a monumental like. I mean, even though they're kind of like in reverie, of all of it as our core four and our legacy characters are like coming and go, looking at all of it, taking it in and everything like that. It still could be even a bigger like like
Yeah.
like almost a violation of sorts, like or even discussed like all the questions you're asking, like who would collect the, like
Right.
just, but maybe but I also, because of its place in the movie, because they've already had to behold so much death
Mhm.
that maybe it takes a lot to shock them, like maybe that's why it didn't register with me as much like as I was watching the movie. But in retrospect, I can't say you're wrong, like I mean it seems like something huge if you're expecting it, but it's also, I don't know.
It just,
I don't expect that much from movies these
I
days.
don't know. It's really cool set dressing is what it ends up being, but it doesn't really
Yeah.
connect to much, really. And to me, something like that should connect to the story more, and it really doesn't.
It just
But here's
connects.
the thing.
Well, it just connects to the franchise.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
but that's not enough for me within the story they're telling. Now,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
will say I still like the movie that we end up getting
Me too.
using it. I like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I don't hold it against it, but it's, to me, it's very similar to, it's gonna sound kind of dumb at first, Darth Maul, in that great design. And then he's in the movie for like 15 minutes and then gets fucking killed. And you go,
Right.
oh, that was
Right.
it?
Right. Right.
He
Right.
looks so cool. Oh my God. What a
Hmm.
waste of a character design. And I look at all this, I'm like, oh, it's so cool. And what a waste of like a fucking rich idea. And it's just essentially, it's not much.
Yeah.
It's really cool, but it should have been, it could have been more.
Well, you got to be. I wish people would be more mindful of what they put in trailers.
Honestly, though, even if it wasn't in the trailer,
Yeah.
when you're leaving masks counting down, I thought this was going to lead to something juicier.
No, I mean, for me, I knew it was going to lead to the inevitable Scream, Scooby reveal of the mask. It's just like, and I would have, not even I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for the maybe less Scooby, maybe more James Bond. But I mean, just like kind of like, here's who I am and here's why I did it, and I knew that's what it was leading to. I knew we were counting down to that, and I don't know, I wasn't really expecting anything in particular. I was so thrown off by like what I talked about, like with the tonal changes for me, because I didn't laugh as much the first time I saw it. Now I just kind of ride the wave and I do laugh more, I feel. But what's interesting is I feel like the only thing I'm kind of thirsty for in terms of the direction the franchise takes from here, and I mean just the next movie, I'm not thinking long game, but just for the next movie, it'd be interesting, because if they want to do an homage to Scream 3 at all, which I'm so scared, I'm holding my breath, but and crossing my fingers. But if they want to do any kind of homage, I wouldn't mind a rough homage, like an oblique homage, in the sense of like kind of like bringing it back to family. Gail made that comment to Sam about parents and about how she doesn't really, yeah, oh, there you go. Because I mean, they had a connection in Five Cream when they first met, and when after Judy died, and Sam's like, she didn't really like me, and Gail's like, well, she didn't really like me either. And then in this movie, their bond is that they both don't really, gel with their parents in some way, each in their own particular way. And because we haven't had any exposure to that really, like we still have yet to see the Carpenter sisters interact with their mother at all. And I have never, when Gail made that comment about her not really getting along with, I can't remember if she said her mother or her parents, I can't remember, but whatever the comment is, I'm just kind of like, oh yeah, we never met your parents, we never really heard you talk about them before either, if I can remember correctly. I don't remember you talking about any kind of disapproval, but I'm not surprised. That's one thing I liked about the way they wrote Gail. It was like a new detail that I was like, never thought about it before, totally convinced that it's the truth about your character, want to know more, let's see your mother in 7, let's see.
Well, I want to see the Carpenter's mother.
Exactly. I was just gonna say, yeah.
In fact, that's one of the things after the first movie came out, was that, mom's, I think, in England. She's on a conference. I go, okay, that's why you're not around. Fine. It takes place over like 2 or 3 days.
Right.
And I think there was some buzz, not buzz, but I remember people going like, who'd you cast? Who'd you cast? And there was some people there's a lot of people that were like, Eva Longoria. And I'm like, okay, I see that. I'd be down. Yeah. And then something came out where people, and then she's not in 6, and I go, okay, and they have a reason why it's just this cast again, Eddie, I want Salma Hayek.
We all do, John Carlos. Yeah. But what does that have to do with the conversation?
Even you want Salma Hayek. Come on.
Oh, those sex scenes in Desperado, I was not watching Antonio Banderas, and I should have been as gay as I am, but I was just like, damn. So she's, I understand, and I wouldn't say no if she offered.
But I think it'd be kind of fun in a weird way. This is such a backwards thing to do, but like in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, when they're making Scream 4, they originally wanted Salma Hayek to be in it, and she couldn't because she was filming Frida, which is why there's a Frida Kahlo portrait in the hallway.
Right.
But I always thought it'd be a neat way to bring it back in a weird way, like, oh, she finally got to be in a Scream. I don't know.
But
that's how my brain works.
She was the first person I thought of, just because, like, I think she's just on my mind. I saw 2 of my favorite drag queens, Trixie and Katya, the queens who watch, and they were watching the Netflix show that Salma's doing with Annie Murphy right now. Oh, it's not even a show, it's an episode of Black Mirror. I think it's the new season or whatever, and I got to see pieces of it while they watched it and everything like that, and so Salma's in my head. But I'm trying to think about like other people who like were teenagery in the 90s, because I mean, Selma could have played, I mean, she was young, but she was, she wasn't like a teenager. I'm trying to think like who could have been like in that friend group in the, I mean, they weren't teenagers either in 96 in the original movie.
Exactly.
But
definitely
but
in her 20s at that
right
age. Yeah.
But I'm just trying to think like Eva Longoria is an interesting decision. I'm trying to think of someone. Oh, I don't know. There's got to be somebody great who I just be like, oh, I want her, but I don't want to think of her, because then if I don't get her, I'm going to be really disappointed.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I still think there's a lot of potential if you ever want to explore it, that like Stu's got a sister.
Right.
There are people still in Woodsboro, people who could hold grudges or at least be interesting. Like, we went through 3 Scream movies and like, oh, Sydney's got an aunt,
Yeah, I'd be happy if we don't return to Woodsboro just yet.
I would be too.
Yeah.
Can I just go through some random things?
Yes, please.
Some random thoughts, just bullet points. If you agree, just nod. If you want to engage with me, great. I would love it. I personally think it's really kind of fun that when Kirby and Bailey are looking at the board of killers, and then Kirby leaves the room, the shot frames Bailey like almost at head height with all the other killers.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Good shit, right?
Yeah. Fun.
I have some of my things are really, really petty, but
Oh boy.
no,
Here we
like
go.
for example, like this is really, really petty, but I also just like talking shit, movie shit. Because
Uh-huh.
this is movie shit, and I'm just talking shit on it. But I love when we get into Jason's apartment, and I'm like, wait, you two guys are students, and your apartment in Manhattan
Oh,
is like this? Okay. And then when we get to Quinn and Tara's and Sam's apartment, again in Manhattan,
yeah.
and
It's
I'm
a
like,
movie. It's a
two of you are
movie.
students. I know she's working too. Yeah, it's a movie.
Yeah.
But I just remember like I had three friends who all worked jobs to live in an apartment half as big as that in Astoria. And I'm like, you're in Manhattan and it's all right. Okay, movie. But
Yeah.
whatever, fuck it. It's a movie. Part of me just likes to talk shit.
No, I understand completely. Like my friend Bonnie lived out in New York and worked 3 jobs and still qualified for food stamps. So
Yeah.
and did
I
not
got a
live in
friend working two
Manhattan.
jobs and still qualifies for food stamps.
Yeah, and did not live in Manhattan. Like lived off the island and still, money. Oh my God, it's so expensive. But
Uh,
yeah, it's a movie. It's a movie.
um, a thing I should have mentioned this in the first episode, but because it's in my notes, I just forgot to say it. But I will say
Okay.
it now. It just makes me. I just go, oh, that's neat. Miss Crane, Professor Crane, Junior Professor Crane,
Uh-huh.
gets the first stab and backs up in her heels and steps onto a curb. And I just remember thinking, if I got stabbed not in heels, I'd probably fall back. And even if I stumbled back, I'm like, you stumbled back and took a step onto curb in heels. Bravo. I could never. That's impressive because I would just fall. I'd probably bump into the curb and fall over.
Have
But
you
she's
ever
like, oh,
tried heels on?
yes.
Okay. And
And
did you fall?
I wasn't getting stabbed and walking backwards at the time, Eddie.
No, I'm just
I'm not
curious
talking about
because
walking forward.
no, I'm just curious because I mean, I don't know. I mean, if she's got, I mean,
I know.
I'm not going to take away the applause that you're giving her. I'm just going to join you in applauding her. But at the same time, I'm like, if you're walking on the balls of your feet, you just,
I,
that that's the trick.
I know. It's just when you're walking backwards and you're getting stabbed, I wouldn't
Yeah.
take a step up onto a curb. I'd probably too busy going fucking ow, like
Weird things kick in when
it just
when you're
feels
in
like a state.
survival mode.
It just felt like we're staging the scene, we're blocking it. It needs to end with you against that wall. Oh, but we're out here. I don't know, just take a few steps back, and you step up onto the curb, and we all just sort of accept it. And I just go, okay, you're staging it, but in real life, I'm like, you wouldn't step up onto a curb and keep walking back.
You sick
Whatever.
fuck.
God
You wanted
bless
her to
you.
break her heel and fall, didn't you? Didn't you?
It'd be more believable, yeah. Actually,
I don't think so, but
she
okay,
could still
whatever.
get stabbed there.
I'll have to look at it again because I'm just too busy watching her. Oh,
That again, we're distracted by that glorious scream. But go back.
oh.
She's in the middle of getting stabbed, and she can step up, going backwards while being murdered.
Now I'm not going to be able to take my eyes off of it when the next time I see the movie. Now, thanks a lot.
No, just another little thing, and
Oh
and I
boy.
no, but I have the go. I forget. I'm okay. Like if you're into this shit, I'm a bad nerd because I forgot the name of it. But but Fun World, when they made the original Ghostface masks, they were called something else. It had like a little purple tag. And then like after the Scream movie came out, they made them again, but
Right.
they said Scream on them. But
Right.
I
Right.
ran
Right.
out right away and tracked down that original mask that had the purple tag. And if I was smart and knew in 1996 that this franchise would go on for 25 years, I probably would have kept it, never taken the tag off. All I'm
Right.
saying is I have one of the original masks from 1996 before they changed over to Scream.
Ooh.
And all that happened in all that time is it turned kind of yellow. Like it looks cool in the movie, but that's not how that rubber ages over time. I don't know if did that because it's supposed to be in a police storage, I'm guessing, all this time and not laying out in a desert cooking and cracking. But I'll admit it looks so cool. But it's just one of those little things where like, but if you have like a 25-year-old mask, you're like, that's not what they look like now. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
I won't deny it looked neat.
this is kind of sad because I remember the first time I heard Tara describe the mask that was left at the crime scene, as when they're being interrogated, and she's just like, it looked different though. It looked like it had been, like kind of like, I don't remember how she put it, but like it'd been through something, or like like it'd been worn down or worn away or something like it, more worn out than the other ones. And I remember I was like, oh, it was, when I first saw it in the movie theater, because this is one thing I don't know how to make stop at the movies. The brightness of the screen was way low. It was already a kind of a dark movie to begin with, and even though we were in complete darkness, the only scenes that were really kind of incandescent were the ones that were during the day in broad daylight, like outdoors, like in the park. TED Talk from Mindy, saw that scene perfectly. But a lot of the night scenes, and a lot of that movie takes place at night.
Oh yeah.
No matter how well lit the scenes were, I was still going, okay, yeah, I can kind of see them. I can kind of make it out, but I feel like I'm looking through a window instead of actually, like, watching a movie screen. Subsequently, watching it in HD, like on my own television, streaming it off Paramount Plus and everything, I can say, oh, I did notice that it looked more worn. So thank God for HD.
It's got cracks, and they've dirtied the cracks, like they did like a wash.
Absolutely, yeah.
At any time that I have a movie theater experience like that, when it's over, I go find the manager and I tell them, hey, I was in theater 8 and the bulbs in that projector are really dim. You should probably look into replacing them.
Right.
Like, because sometimes their own staff, like, they don't keep track of that. But if someone complains, they're like, oh, shit.
I don't know.
It depends, because I don't want to get too into it. But like back when Cinemark hadn't bought Century and Century was its own thing, Century's theaters were all maintained by THX. So like they never had to worry about dim bulbs,
right?
But especially like smaller chains and stuff, or like one-offs. I don't know.
I also heard, this could just be hearsay, but I heard once years ago that you can change the I don't know about the wattage, but I guess the level, the brightness of the light, the intensity of it. And a lot of theaters do it just to still screen the movie and make money, but also to save money on electricity, which seems stupid.
It does.
Like, yeah. But at the time when I heard it, I was just kind of like, that's why movie theater screens are so dark. But now I'm
sometimes like, it's just no, they haven't changed the bulbs out.
Yeah.
After they start getting darker.
I don't know. I guess, should I complain?
I always bring it to their attention.
I do. I've done that when the movie's too loud. I've definitely sat there where I'm like, okay, this is intense. I'm not even that close to the speakers or the screen or anything like that, and it's killing me. I go ask somebody to turn it down, and within like 5 minutes, it's at like a respectable level.
I mean, I've had I've never complained about noise. I have complained about like the degree that the theater next to me, like I can hear the dialogue, like that's too loud. When they project things at the wrong aspect ratio, I've complained about. I complained because I always, because sometimes. Like I'm not just bitching. Like I'm not just trying to get like a free ticket out of it. I was just like, I'm just trying to make sure that that like that needs attention. Yeah. Speaking of masks, so like the train scene, the subway train scene.
Yeah.
I mean, the Easter eggs in the mat of every costume, they're great. And it's literally like the second or third time you're like, oh, it's family from Nope. I didn't see them before. Oh, it's the Shining twins. Great. That's all fine.
Family from Us.
What did I say? Nope.
You said Nope.
Shit.
You're canceled, sir.
Yeah. No, I was just trying to think of like, is there another cool costume from Nope I could have put in there?
Yeah, a little spaceman. I saw him.
Yeah. No, but so you don't see it in the movie, but this is one of my favorite little like just interview tidbits I saw was I saw an interview with Radio Silence, and you haven't watched the Scream show, but
no,
like the mask is referred to as there's a character, and whether they're really the character or not, Brandon James has this mask, and it's slightly different. It's definitely different from Ghostface, but still has a mouth. Yeah. Anyway, they were saying, do you ever think about putting a little Easter egg somewhere in the movie to honor the show? And they're like, oh, we did. There's a Brandon James mask in the train scene. And I'm like, what?
Oh my God.
I have gone back. It's not visible on screen, but it's nice to know that when all the people in costumes, there's a Brandon James mask in that scene. And that's
probably behind the Babadook, and that's why I don't ever notice it.
You see the Babadook and look away?
No, because I'm too busy looking at the Babadook going like, Oh, it kind of looks like London After Midnight, but I know it's the
It's
Babadook.
not. Yeah.
And I'm happy. I love the Babadook, but I
Fuck
like
yeah.
you know me and my obscure references. Like, I mean, and also the Babadook, like, you know, Tara, I still love her line. I still prefer the Babadook,
Oh,
but
it's great.
yeah, so I get that, but it would have been nice if there could have been a little bit more, you know, leaning toward, you know, early 20th century monsters in there. I feel like there was one, but I don't
I know,
remember
but
which one.
I would buy a bunch of, especially if they're getting on near a college area. It's what the kids know
Yeah,
nowadays.
more
Yeah.
actual contemporary uh
Um,
movies. That
Speaking
makes
of the
sense.
train, I loved the way the scene with Mindy getting killed was edited. I don't know if it
Oh.
was intended to be, but and I don't know if you ever will watch Doctor Who, but for those of you out there who do watch Doctor Who, I felt so many Weeping Angel vibes from
Hmm.
that scene. And for the layperson, the Weeping Angel is a thing that is quantum locked. When you looked at it, it's still, and the second it's not being watched, it can move. So if the lights go out, you're fucked. It's going to
Oh.
come up and kill you. Or if you blink, it moves for half a second.
Oh,
So the fact that like
scary.
the lights, yeah, oh, it's so scary. But the fact that the
Hmm.
train, like you see the ghost face and then the lights, and then it's over here now, and then the lights go, and then it's here, and it's right in your face. I don't know if Radio Silence or Doctor Who fans, but I fucking loved it. I refer to that as the Weeping Angel scene.
See, it's interesting that you bring that up because like the Weeping Angel scene for me uh felt less effective because I felt like I was less on that train than I was in that alley for the opening kill. I was
Oh,
so it's something about the atmosphere they created and the way that they shot Professor what's her name? I already forgot. But the fact that, you know, like the way that I don't know, the way we kind of establish it. I felt like I was in the restaurant. I felt like I was on the sidewalk with her. I felt like I was moving into the alley and everything like that about it just kind of created this engrossing atmosphere, and I wanted that, and I couldn't even articulate it like after the first two screenings. I just knew it wasn't really working for me, and this most recent screening that I had, I was like, oh, because I wish, for me, I kind of felt like there was some visual interest missing from their shots. I was like, I wish we could get closer on Mindy, maybe feel a little more claustrophobic and everything like that, because I get what they're going for. I can see it, you know, cerebrally, but I can't, I'm not feeling it. It's not punching my gut. I'm not in Mindy's shoes experiencing what she's experiencing or experiencing it with her, you know, and I would prefer that. Because you know me, I'm Captain Empathy, but
and somehow not in this
and
movie.
somehow not. Well, I mean, if it's a problem for me when I can see what you're doing rather than feel it, and I just didn't feel it on that. Did I tell you already about the my mom's bathroom break?
Did you? I don't
Probably,
remember.
I don't know. If you don't remember,
Then
we were
no.
what? Okay, we were watching the Dirty Angel scene. What's it called? What'd you
The
call it?
Weeping Angels. Yeah.
The Weeping Angel scene, the dirty Weeping Angel scene. And my mom really had to go to the restroom, and she leaned over to me and she was like, I have to go to the bathroom. Is now a good time? And I looked up at the screen because I was all, because I don't want her to miss anything. But then I look and I'm just kind of like, oh, yeah.
Aw.
And I was like, yeah, you can go to the bathroom, but hurry. She's like, I will. She went, and I was watching the scene, and she came back, and it was still going on. They were still, I mean, it was still, they're separated. They're on the subway. The lights are flashing.
Yeah.
Ghostface getting closer. It hadn't changed. The
From
only
the
thing that had changed is Mindy, you know, with her wonderful moment with Ethan. That's the only thing my mom missed. But I was like, yeah,
oh,
this is a
okay.
good, if you have to leave during the movie, this is a good moment to do it because it's
Yeah.
sustained. You're not really missing anything, and it didn't work on me. So
From when they first get to the train station and get onto the train, you go back and forth and you stay with the one group for a bit, and then we get to Mindy for a while. So like
yeah.
there is some time. I don't
Yeah.
know. We talked a bit about the ending. I guess we don't have that many like quote unquote notes about the big finale.
I
But
took none. I just watched the movie and had a good time.
yeah,
Or not.
well, and we
But
talked about
yeah.
other things.
Yeah.
About especially when she stabs the shit out of Bailey, and then like Tara's like, really? um,
Yeah.
all that's fine. But just sometimes I have just little things. We all have little things. This time though, I'm not mad at a hero. I'm like, this is a villain. Fuck, like if they did what I want them to do, the movie would be over. So I'm glad this doesn't happen. But
okay,
Tara's down on the ground, got Ethan in the mouth with the knife.
yeah.
Sam's upstairs, and she's got that fucking just that amazing look at Bailey, and she fucking shoots Bailey in the fucking head. And then we Quinn in the head.
Quinn first, yeah.
Bailey behind her.
Yes.
And Bailey's like, hey, what the fuck? And then she click, no more bullets, right?
Oh, fuck, yeah.
Throws the gun and they run at each other.
Yeah.
Right? Cool moment. Until I realized Bailey's still got a gun and he's holding it. And instead of shooting Sam, he just runs at her and goes, ah. And I'm like, sir, if you have any interest in defeating this woman, you've got a gun and she's unarmed. Why on earth would you just run at her and go, ah?
You know, you saying that makes me think like what would have made that. No, it would have solved that problem. It never occurred to me because I just
unless
think
he threw down two and was like, I'm gonna do it.
Well, if she
hand.
clicked and had no bullets left, and he kind of really quick, like it's gonna take more time for me to explain it than to the pace that I think it should be presented. But if he kind of like like sneered or kind of or no, he can't do that because his daughter just got killed. So like. And Dermot Mulroney like, and yeah, exactly. Starts to try to fire at her, and it doesn't work. And then they both kind of look at each other, and she can even give him like a
right.
And then they both just charge it.
He runs at her
oh, fuck.
with his gun out, like he's running with the gun forward. It's such a weird blocking.
Yeah,
but again, I like this movie. Everybody,
me too. Well, I mean, again. Liking and disliking is not the same as like thinking something is perfect and thinking something is imperfect.
Right.
Like it's imperfect, so I dislike it. No, I like on the whole the majority of this movie and the ride. Like I really enjoy the ride. But
yeah,
the big I said at the end of our last episode that my biggest problem is the Gale thing, and I've addressed why, but it doesn't cancel the movie for me. It doesn't. It's not a deal breaker.
And I think I addressed this in the beginning of the first one that like, everything I'm saying, I still like the movie, but yeah, it's just fun to pick things apart a bit. I mean, I love Batman and Batman Returns to Death, but it's still fun to joke about how he like blows a dude up.
Yeah.
Or like watches a family get mugged in the opening scene and then does nothing.
Or how like Selena Kyle gets pushed through a window that would never exist on a skyscraper at that height.
Exactly.
You know how many times I watched the movie before I actually realized that? Like it was over 30, I'll tell you that. I don't know how many
we don't have time to talk about all the things that don't make sense.
Yes.
In these two movies that I fucking adore.
Exactly.
So whatever. But this is also the first, like, speaking of things that don't make sense, but like whatever, not that it doesn't make sense. Because so we've had other ghost faces, like, and people talk about like Amber and her height and that kind of bullshit. But it was the first time in this, I've never bumped into anyone's height in any Scream movie until this one, when they've convinced Sam that Kirby's the killer. And I just thought, but Kirby's so short. Like you've been in the bodega with this guy. Like, really? She's so little. She couldn't be the killer.
It doesn't mean she couldn't have been like on the phone, like doing a ghost face. Not that I'm saying she should have been or could have been. Like, I mean,
I'm not doubting her.
Yeah,
her ability, her ghost face voice prowess.
Yeah,
just
right.
That Kirby was not chasing after you in the bodega. Kirby was not, no.
No, but I don't even really think, because this is the thing. The only reason I entertained it is because like it didn't always make sense. Like sometimes there are moments like I haven't thought about the identity of the ghost faces per scene until recently, like I'd say the last 3 years. And even then, like I'm just kind of like, I don't care. It's not what it's about. It's about, and we did it. And if you try to explain who was where and everything like that, cool. And if it makes sense, better. But I mean, even again, like I go to Scream 3 now and I just pretend that I've forgotten her name. Emily Mortimer's character. Remind me again.
We called her Emily Mortimer in the last episode.
Oh, we did? Okay, so Emily Mortimer. I know her name. I want to call her Jeanette or something, but I know that's wrong. Anyway, Emily Mortimer. I love imagining that she is the other Ghostface. It's more fun than trying to like, rationalize how Roman is, teleporting and everything like that. Because now that's ruined for me. But in the other movies, I don't know. Also, like different people base it on different things. So whatever. But I stand by. Thank God they didn't ruin Kirby, because I couldn't have. I think I might have gotten up and left if Kirby would have ended up being a Ghostface. There is not a world where you
No,
make Kirby Ghostface and I enjoy it and I
no,
stay.
same. And I don't. I didn't want to say like, oh, like I won't say I didn't go on the ride, but when he called and said that, part of my brain was like, wait, what? And then part of my brain was like, no, that's the thing a liar says when it's really them. It can't be her. So when she comes out like covered in blood, I'm like, it's not you. Come on.
Uh, if anybody ever tries to falsely accuse me, I'm just going to point at them calmly and go to everybody else in the room. That's a thing a liar says when they're trying to convince everyone that they're not the killer. Thank you, John Carlos. I hope I I will
welcome.
carry that with me from now on. Do you have any other nitpicks? Yeah. I'll let you know.
Well, no, I was just no, not nitpick, but yeah, just going off that. Like I was trying to think, like, could Kirby have gone off? We only saw her in one movie. We haven't seen her in many years, and I just went, no.
No.
And I'm glad that ultimately it was no. No, I think I'm no, just little tiny. Actually, I do have one more note, but 3 little tiny things I like.
Okay.
One is it's dumb, it doesn't matter, but I just love that for the therapist that he's watching Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and just how on the fucking nose you're next. They're already here, you're in danger. And I'm like,
yeah.
very nice.
Yeah, I like it.
It's lovely.
Fun.
I like shit
Fun.
like that. I like that this movie takes place at Halloween.
Yeah.
I love movies that take place on Halloween.
The costumes, I don't know, it added a new flavor. I was like, oh, we haven't had Halloween in Scream yet, have we?
Even when we're at the park, there's just like dudes in costumes in the background. It's just nice.
Yeah.
And at any point in a franchise, when they're like, and now it's Christmas, or now it's, I go, oh, neat, so
yeah, right. Now I've got a new Halloween movie,
exactly. That's what I thought. I'm like, oh my god, I can watch this any Halloween I want now. It's cute that the therapist. In fact, this is. Now that I think about it, how does the therapist like? Okay, so the therapist has Handmade by Robots, which is a kind of little kind of figurine. And they make a bunch. They make all sorts of pop culture ones, and he has in his office Addams Family, Annabelle, Leatherface, like on his little desk off to the wall. Okay. And I went, oh, that's neat. And only now do I realize, like, you don't know who fucking this girl is. Like after the shit in Woodsboro was on the news and a book was written about it, you got Texas Chainsaw on your fucking desk and you don't know who Sam is. You're an idiot. What a dummy.
Maybe he didn't realize. Sam Carpenter is such a common name. Maybe he didn't realize she was the Sam Carpenter. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, you could argue, well, he's watching Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Maybe he only likes old horror movies. But then he's got Annabelle.
He shouldn't like Annabelle. But I don't know how to explain it away. I mean, all I can think, what I would think first and foremost is maybe they're not his, maybe they're there, maybe he's like also like, maybe he's like also a child therapist, and like they're like toys for like a little kid who's a huge horror fan, and he just happens to keep them like on his desk, so anytime the kid comes over for a session, it's like, here, play with Annabelle. Now tell me, what do you like about Annabelle?
Maybe he's got a nephew that's like, oh, you like horror, right? And he's like, yeah, I said that once, and he keeps giving me these gifts. He thinks they're cute. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe something like that. There you go. See, headcanon.
Ha ha ha.
Love it.
Yeah, I buy it. No, I think we kind of touched upon this a little bit, and so I probably should have said this then. This is my last note, I guess.
Yeah.
But the idea that this movie maybe doesn't serve the idea of themes of franchises as well as other movies have served their cinematic themes.
Sure.
But the fact that in her monologue, Mindy says franchises are just continuing episodic installments designed to boost an IP. She's not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Quite literally, Paramount was like, hey, we bought the whole like Weinstein catalog.
Yeah.
We could do Scream, right?
Right.
which means main characters are completely expendable now too. I don't see how the two are necessarily related in that sentence. Like there was things that were said in Scream 5 where I go, yes, that is what people like me and movie fans we discuss. This feels accurate. But the fact that like they're continuing episodic installments designed to boost an IP, which means main characters are expendable now, huh? And she goes on to list a bunch of things, and I go, "This is interesting."
Yeah.
Laurie Strode,
Mm-hmm.
Nancy Thompson. If we're addressing franchises, I'm like, well, Nancy Thompson was in 2 movies and they killed her off.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Ellen Ripley, she was in 3 and they killed her off.
Mm-hmm.
Jigsaw, he was in the 3rd one and they killed him off. You know, and then he goes, she goes into a list some really spoilery ones. Like when she's talking about James Bond and Luke Skywalker, I'm like, spoiler alert. Fuck. That shit's like 2 years old. Maybe people haven't gotten her. All right, goddamn. Even Luke Skywalker all died so their franchises could live on. And I went, okay, you're listing off characters that die in franchises. This is just me being a fucking little nitpicky prick, but like also that their franchises could live on. Like Luke Skywalker didn't die so his franchise could live on. James Bond didn't die so his franchise could live on. Like all these characters, like the franchises lived on regardless, like without them. Like if anything, like Ellen Ripley was brought back so the franchise could live on. They brought Laurie Strode back and retcon shit so the franchise could live on. A lot of I don't know. It's just one of the first times where like even the writing of the monologue didn't really seem to like nail the theme of what they're going for. Like it's neat that they reference this stuff, but half of it I'm like doesn't really apply to the point you're making.
Okay, well, there's a lot to address here. The first thing I thought in terms of like the connection between like to boost an IP, therefore main characters are expendable. The impression I got when she said it, and even more so when you said, because again, it's words and I'm just listening and I was like, okay, whatever. I just want to see their reactions to what she's saying. And I think the rationalization that I get immediately from those 2 sentences, like one being juxtaposed against another, or like this exists, therefore that, is that like if the franchise is continuing to construct sequels to boost an IP, there is no longer motive toward keeping legacy characters around. I mean, basically, like there's no longer, how can I put this? The priorities of the audience are not the priorities of the people making the films. That is true.
Are you saying basically like Freddy is the star, so we don't need Nancy to keep coming back?
Right. But and because even though you're talking about like that these characters that she's listing were all kind of like, well, not all, but mostly most of them in the early part of the list were all kind of like eliminated after 2 or 3 movies.
Yeah.
The fact is the baton was passed to other characters who were going to battle whatever it was that was identified as the IP. Like Freddy's Revenge continued without Robert Englund as Freddy because they didn't know that Freddy was the IP.
Right.
They thought it's the house, so we'll just put some new kids in the house and hire someone who will work for nothing and has no stage presence, and then we'll give it Freddy.
So now that so franchises continuing episodic IP designed to boost an IP, if that being so main characters expendable, it's because the priority is just to crank one out. We don't necessarily need you.
And they don't even necessarily need continuity. Like,
see how like it took you saying all that for me to get there?
And I still don't feel like I succinctly captured it. There's a way to, but I worked all day. I'm tired. But
yes.
So okay, after that, the problem that you have again.
Sally Hardesty, Jigsaw, Tony Stark, even Luke Skywalker all died so their franchises could live on.
Okay.
Can I tell you?
Go on.
Go ahead, and then I'm going to tell you my answer to this.
I mean, arguably, you just said Tony Stark, and all I can think is I've stopped watching MCU movies. I used to watch them so devotedly.
Right. Well, you've seen a
And
few
I'm
that
just
came
like,
after Endgame. Like you've seen
I
Shang-Chi
did,
and
but
stuff, like,
I have to say it was different.
no, but again, Tony Stark didn't die so the franchise could live on.
I feel like okay, no, that I get, because you need to edge out the characters who established the franchise so that like new stories can be told, new types of
Oh,
heroes can take the stage, new stories that have not been told yet, new characters that have not or new demographics that have not
hmm.
found representation manifest on the screen, need those stories told. So
Like
for
Luke
Tony Stark,
Skywalker needs to die so that like Rey and Finn
Ray,
can take the center stage, I guess.
exactly, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I get okay, a lot. So for some of those, that really works. First of all, that's a pretty good answer. And now I feel kind of stupid for bringing it all up.
No. No, I feel stupid for it not, like, for my sweater not catching on it and for not like dissecting it more. So I think I probably would have had to watch it 8 more times in order to get where you are now. But
Because you're right, like Nancy died and the baton was passed to someone else.
yeah, to
Um,
Kristen.
but Sally Hardesty, get out. And then
Oh
also,
boy.
you've never seen it, but like, there's nothing about James Bond that there's no
Oh
like, now this guy is gonna do it now. Like, no.
well, no, but there will be a new James Bond.
Well, that's why I don't think it counts, is because like they're just gonna, it's just the next Bond movie. It's not a continuity
But it's the
schmontinuity. There's barely there's a
but
thing that happens like in the 5th movie that they sometimes reference like in the 19th movie. There isn't a lot of, you know.
okay, then maybe that was a poor example. It was just lumped in because franchises, and because I haven't seen the entire franchise. I've only seen the first 3 movies. So if that, no, I did see the first 3. I know I saw the first 2. What's the third one? Is
Goldfinger.
Goldfinger? Okay, I did see the first.
Yeah, I think you saw the first 3.
Yeah, I did.
But okay, so before you kind of align my
Yes.
way of thinking,
Yes.
back in my old way of thinking,
Yeah.
there's a little thing I would have done. If the line is, and even Luke Skywalker all died so their franchises could live on, change the word so to Luke Skywalker, they all died and their franchises lived on. Like, it doesn't matter if you die, the franchise will go on without you. You change that, or you can change it to yet James Bond, even Luke Skywalker, all died, yet their franchises lived on, which really hammers the point that our leads can die.
I like that. That's the note they needed.
Change so to yet.
And yet.
And yet.
Of all my criticisms of the screenplay, that is the nitpickiest.
Oh, yeah.
But it works. It does work. I think it's valid. Absolutely.
I am sure there are people out there who, if you're watching this, think that is such petty and probably think I'm stupid. But I'll stand by it, though. Grammatically speaking, that makes a great point.
It does.
And the fact that you filmed your actor saying it, this would hit better if you actually had them say a different word.
It would. Actually, it makes all the difference. It actually makes the whole thought complete.
Yeah.
There you go.
We should do the our own fan edit and change.
Just change the little things here and there, like just have a lot of animosity between, just a lot of silent shots between like Gail and Sam and Tara, until finally like Gail, like, you know, I gotta show you some, I don't know, we'll find some way to like edit it together so it's like colder until she finally reveals the shrine. And then when they have to go after her, it's like, oh, okay. I don't know if that'll work though, because choppy editing of like something that already exists isn't gonna.
Oh yeah, it's so right. And then the audio is like off by a second.
It's gonna be like Justice League. I don't want to do that to Screevy. I don't want to Justice Screevy. But it's interesting though, because I mean your comment about it, like, that was another thing that occurred to me, like even after the first screening, I was like, this is definitely a topical film, but I feel like it's the first topical film of the franchise, ironically enough, that for me is more topical to I guess has more of a social and political and global relevance than it does within its genre or subgenre, like
Mm.
or even within its own franchise. Like, because like I feel like we keep reiterating the same note over and over again in different ways, but it's true. I feel like I left that film the first time feeling like this is definitely relevant, what with like how easy it is to give people a villain, and just, you know, they're just waiting to hate someone, and then all of a sudden comes the fan art and the you know, the what's the word I'm looking for, the conspiracy theories about like who the real hero is and all of that, how easy it is to get anonymous fucks on the internet to kind of posture enthusiasm via the internet on the basis of nothing. And I mean, that again, all of that feels very true and very relevant and made the movie relevant. But I was like, I miss kind of like the meta of it. Like, it's
Yeah.
almost, again, like I that was another thing, another new detour for me. Even though I guess a Ghostface killer with a gun is nothing new, but seeing Ghostface in the garb with a gun, because I don't remember seeing any other, remind me if I'm missing something, but any other ghost faces fully decked out with a gun in hand. It's
always
always
after
in
the unmasking.
exactly for me, as far as I can remember. But so seeing one with, you know, the shopkeeper's shoddy shot gat like in the bodega, that rocked me. That also felt relevant. I already addressed that in the last episode, but it shook me a bit, and I was just kind of like, okay, this is what the franchise needs. I mean, and I don't say that with a question mark to question whether it does need it, but is it all the franchise needs? It's like, what?
Yeah.
Well, then what's the next movie going to be about?
Right. Because one, the kind of newer things that they play with, I want them to lean into more next time.
Yeah.
But also, like, I kind of wondered, even before going to see this, like, you're gonna run out of enough meta stuff. You could just commit to just telling a story about the Carpenters and really not have it be a commentary on anything.
Oh,
I don't know if fans would dislike that.
I think at least a subset of them, at least a subset, a fraction.
I still think if you want, what's the next one? I feel like my answer from last time is still relevant. Really lean into satirizing fan service.
Yeah.
Even more so that this one's like, hey, we brought Kirby back.
Yeah.
Bring back like some other characters. Maybe not necessarily from the dead.
Yeah.
But like all the wink, wink, nudge, nudge shit. And yeah, I mean, I don't know if you can hang a whole movie on that, but
it'd be it would be new. It'd be fun.
There's been a few other. I know Fast Five was the first one to do this, but there's been a few other movies, you know, and like an Avengers movie where like the super group are like, holy shit, like Jill survived and Jill from this and Stu, they're all, you know, like I don't know, but like, yeah, I don't know where you. The only thing I could think of to do, and this would really change the franchise, and I feel like since 6 made a lot of money, they're probably gonna want to do a 7 as a theatrical film. If you really want to do something and comment on something, the next Scream isn't a movie, it's a streaming show. And you comment on where cinema's going, leaving theaters, coming home. They even talk about how like true crime stories are all the rage now. So you make it like a limited 6-episode series, or you even release it. I know that there's not money there, but like that is where the entertainment industry is going, has gone. People are already striking about how they're not getting fairly paid because so much of it has gone over here now.
Right.
And so, I mean, you look at the popularity of, you know, even Stranger Things, which is, you know, kind of includes kids, but all of the like Flaniverse stuff on Netflix, like the popularity of horror, you could make Scream 7 the Netflix show.
I need to sit with that for a little bit longer before I agree with you.
Well, here's the other thing though. I'm not saying I want that though, because I don't know if I need a 6-hour Scream.
I
don't.
barely needed an over 2-hour Scream. Again,
I just look at where things are going.
Yeah, you know,
and you've already covered like where else can you go without just not doing anything? But I'm like, but streaming is definitely a current. and where entertainment's at.
Yeah.
Unless, oh, here's a new one. Unless, and I think to really make it meta, you got to bring the budget way down. But you go after, not go after, but you address basically the Blumhouse model, which not Blumhouse is doing anymore. Like Universal like has clearly paid attention, like because they partner with Blumhouse, but they're like, you know how he keeps making these like $10 million movies to $30 million movies, and they just make like $100 million. And we've got M. Night Shyamalan, and he makes these $5 million movies, and they make like 50 to 100. Knock at the Cabin, Megan, like all these, like you could talk about that, like just really scale. You went to New York, now bring it way down.
See, I don't know that this
Simplicity,
is one of the this is one of the pitfalls that I feel like I didn't want to predict about, you know, making sequels so close together.
Oh yeah, maybe give it a few years.
Yeah, because it used to be a commentary on the trends surrounding, you know, I mean, of course, there's the original trilogy, which, you know, we already broke it down, but
yep.
Or that's the thing. That's why it has to go completely off the rails and change up the formula for 7. Because if it's just, not that Screevy is more of the same, but I was jazzed enough about what was altered as opposed to what was brought back. Because one thing, the biggest strength for me, the biggest thing that makes my heart soar about this movie is following the Carpenter sisters through this movie.
Yeah.
And I will follow them through a 7th movie. And, you know, the twins too. I love my core 4. I want to see them have their own movie. But I do want Kirby back. And it'd be nice if they did right by Gale. It'd be lovely to see Sydney come back at some point. I don't know if that needs to all happen in the 7th movie. I don't. Part of me thinks like just let the core 4 have their own movie once.
Yeah, and then bring back Sydney and Gale
for a big Titan end game of a Scream franchise. That would be great. Yeah,
you can definitely bring Danny back. I like him.
Yeah, me too.
He's earned his place.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and again, you could do that smaller thing with the core 4 if you wanted to
totally
bring it down,
and you could really create some like bone-chilling situations with them because they're less jokey than our original trio.
Oh
you
yeah,
know? Like not that Sydney's jokey, but I mean,
no, but if
you know what I mean.
If Keenan Ivory Wayans wanted to direct a scary movie of this, there is no Deputy Doofy.
No,
there's no character you could turn into that.
No.
But Dewey was already a bit of a clown enough in that.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, now you're just making me think about Anna Faris with all of her hello, you know, and then hi Sydney and everything. Yeah, you can't. Honestly, you can't do that with this movie.
Honestly, Eddie, and we're talking about scary movie. I'm so ready for that to come back.
So am I. And the thing that killed me is Anna Faris and Regina Hall have both gone on record. I've heard them with my own ears on Anna Faris's podcast saying, I would come back in a heartbeat. I would love to do another movie with you. Oh my God, we need. Come on, scary movie. Get us back. We're saying it right here, right now. We will. So
much has happened, not just to horror in general, but like you can honestly still just bring those characters back and just even follow the structure of Scream because they have their role in Scream 5. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd have to wonder who, because you know, so the Wayans brothers. There's I forget those people. I was going to say something worse. Those people who wrote like Epic Movie and Date Movie and Meet the Spartans and all that. Yes. They had a script. The Wayans brothers came in. That's why that first movie has like 6 screenwriting credits. And then the Wayans brothers just wrote 2. Keenan Ivory directed 1 and 2. Then I think it was Bob Weinstein who's like, well, you 2 are out. We're bringing in David Zucker, and I actually like what David Zucker did with 3 and 4.
I like 3.
And then yeah, I'm one of the I do like 4. And then I don't know who the fuck did 5. I'm one of the only assholes. I saw 5 in theaters.
I couldn't even get through, like, I got through the opening and I was like, I don't need to waste my time.
And it's a shame because I haven't seen them, but I know that I think it was Marlon Wayans who did The Haunted House and A Haunted House 2. So like they're already doing that era of horror, which good. I'm glad someone was. But
right.
Anyway, all to say that, like, if you were to do a scary movie now, I don't think it's Bob Weinstein producing it. So like, like, I'm just saying, like, do you get David Zucker back? Do you get Keenen Ivory back? Is it fuck all of them? We're doing it, and who's we? I need a voice. 1 and 2 have a voice. 3 and 4 have a voice. Someone needs to be guiding it. That's true. And I don't know. I feel like I kind of want the Wayanses to come back because I know it was essentially taken from them.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's.
I haven't seen The Blackening yet, and I'm curious about it. I don't even know the tone. I haven't even seen a trailer. I've just seen the poster. We all can't die first.
Great tagline.
And I was just like, oh shit, I need to see that movie, but I don't know tonally. Like it's veering toward comedy, certainly, but
if you don't see it between now and whenever, I would love to do that for a movie weekend because I had a great time. I had a great time with it.
Okay, add it to the list.
So like, I don't want to hype it, but I just
no, you know me.
I had a great fucking time with The Black.
Good. That's all I need to know.
Oh my god,
am I gonna have a good time? Good.
Yeah.
fun.
And you don't know the tone, but I just will say that I don't know if fresh is the right word, but like I haven't seen anything comedically. I haven't seen anything quite like it with these people, these producers telling, like, it felt, like the first time I saw Super Troopers and I'm like, who the fuck are these guys? Oh, this is really funny.
Yeah.
Like I was watching Blackening going like, I haven't had this ice cream yet, but it's good. Give me more.
Oh, nice.
Nice. Yeah, no, it's really good. It's really good.
Okay, fun. Yeah, add it to the list. I'll watch it.
Yeah.
So any more?
I'm done, Eddie.
Yeah, we're talking about other movies now.
We were spitballing about a Scream 7 and Scary Movie, and I'm fucking done.
Me too. All right, fun.
Yeah. Thank you for joining me. I don't know if we're doing a movie next, Eddie, because we have talked about ranking all the Screams.
Yeah.
So I
gotta watch Screevy again. Fuck.
Do you?
I do, because I've only seen it 3 times.
I've seen it 7 times. You haven't. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I maybe see, this is what I did last time. And sometimes my rankings are like revisited, but it makes me itchy on my beard. But no, because what I like to do is like write an anticipatory ranking list and then watch them from worst to best. And if I'm not having more and more fun as I go, then I start to shuffle. And sometimes I do. Sometimes I'm like, what was I thinking putting this here? Or what was I thinking? This is actually better than this one.
Mm-hmm.
So I maybe I'll do that. I'll do like another franchise sail through, but from worst to best.
All I'll say in advance is that I have this one and another one, and I don't know, like, I know everything above it, below it, but like it's got one of these. And just based off our conversation today, I want to go like this, but then I'd almost need to watch them back to back to see.
Okay.
I don't know. I'll be back with something. If it's not that, it'll be a movie of some kind.
I'm like making my way through RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars right now too, the latest one, but it's not done yet. So usually I wait until it's over so I can just sail through. But because I'm starting to catch up, like I've been like, what am I going to do with my days? I'm going to watch the Scream franchise. That's what I'm going to do.
Okay. I'm not pressuring you to do that to be the next one. I'm just saying.
No. But just if it is, I'll be ready.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, I already thank you. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you all for watching. Those of you stuck around for all fucking 3 hours.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Plus.
yeah. 3 hours
Right.
plus. Until next time.